No need. Hu Jai frowned slightly. Young master, are you still confident in your divine demon refining body law? How dare I? Lin Zaiasu said. The yin-yang power hidden within the array path by the elder has been contained by me using my own method and will not cause damage to my foundation. The yin-yang power is like a grindstone, intertwining and clashing. Even at my level, when in seclusion, I still tread carefully as if on thin ice. How can it be easily contained? Hu Jai said. Young master, you'd better not. Lin Zaiasu smiled and said, Elder, I have a diagram I'd like to discuss with you. A diagram? Hu Jai and Saintess Qian Ling both exclaimed in surprise. Lin Zaiasu raised his hand and flicked the teacup in front of him. A droplet of tea flew up and landed on his fingertip. Using his finger as a pen, he drew a circle on the table before him. In the center, his finger moved like a dragon snake, drawing an S line. With 2 fingers, he pointed to the belly of the S. Hu Jai's whole body trembled, her gaze suddenly lifted, staring at Lin Zaiasu, her eyes at this moment exceptionally bright. Because she specializes in the yin-yang path. She knew how audacious this fish before her was. An S-line divided this circle. The energies on either side were completely different. It could even be said diametrically opposed. The left side is yang, the right side is yin, yin and yang divided. If it were just this layer, this is merely the entry stage of the yin-yang path. However, the mystical mechanism lies in his 2 fingers. The 2 points pressed by his fingers directly connected the yin and yang, forming a fusion of yin and yang. This fusion was vastly different from the direction she had been researching for so long. She had always focused on the yin-yang grid. In fact, everyone in this world who studied the yin-yang path followed the direction of the yin-yang grid. But he was different. He followed the direction of the yin-yang fish. As this fish appeared, Hu Jai felt the mystical energy within. The more she pondered, the more wondrous it seemed. Yin and yang embrace, complement each other. Yin and yang do not directly embrace, but embrace through curves. The most wondrous aspect is, the yin-yang fish both experience a process of mutual increase and decrease. When yin prospers, yang wanes, and when yang prospers, yin wanes. What's even more magical is that it undergoes a transformation process. The yang fish transitions from prosperity to decline. When it reaches a state of utmost decline, it connects with the yin fish's utmost prosperity. Similarly, the yin fish also goes through a process of prosperity to decline. When yin reaches its utmost decline, it is time for yang to be in its utmost prosperity. In just such a diagram, the heads and tails of the 2 fish connect, perfectly integrating the mutual opposition, transformation, and alternation of rise and fall in the theory of yin and yang. It is far superior in conception to the yin-yang grid. Young Master Su, this diagram, where did you learn it from? On the subject of yin and yang, the sages have discussed much. I have also pondered it, always feeling that such a diagram seems to fit very well with the yin-yang theory. On Fenghua Road, when I encountered the yin-yang ambush, I tried using it. Unexpectedly, it really accommodated the yin-yang power of the array path. Hu Jai sighed deeply. Young master, your poetic talent is unparalleled. Who could have thought that your cultivation aptitude would also be so peerlessly extraordinary? Among the billions on the yin-yang path, who could have thought that yin-yang fusion could take the shape of a fish? Saintess Qian Ling had long widened her eyes, her entire person in a dazed state. Yin-yang fish. Did he come up with it himself, or did he draw upon the wisdom of the Daxia predecessors? It should be the latter, right? This theory is so profound, so mysterious, how could he possibly think it up? She didn't know of this culture because the Catherine she possessed was an aristocratic lady from Luoba state, who hadn't studied much of Daxia culture. The only cultural influence from Daxia was perhaps this poetry collection in her arms. Now she seemed to understand, Daxia's cultural depth truly encompassed all, especially the basic theories related to the cultivation path. For instance, this yin-yang fish perfectly applied to the yin-yang path. However, it is not just for the yin-yang path. It seems it can also be applied among the 5 elements. A long-standing problem that she had been pondering seemed to have found a spark, striking the deepest part of her consciousness. Saintess Qian Ling thus fell into a wonderful state, akin to sudden enlightenment. This expression of hers fell into Hu Jai's eyes, causing Hu Jai to tremble slightly, a faint sound transmitting into Lin Zaiasu's spirit platform. Young master, it seems your senior sister has also been touched. It seems so. Hu Jai said, Young master, do you intend to enter the yin-yang path? Lin Zaiasu's heart slightly skipped a beat. The yin-yang path. Among the heavenly Tao 7 techniques, he had already gained some insight into a few. Time, space, reincarnation, causality, and life. Unknowingly, he had actually gained some insight into the heavenly Tao 5 methods. He only lacked 2 more. Yin-yang and chaos. Each law, though he had only a shallow understanding, was, for him, something he kept deeply treasured. Can he comprehend the yin-yang law, and how? Hu Jai said, "Young master, please look. This steel is named the yin-yang steel. I acquired it in the ancient forbidden area, and since then I've embarked on the yin-yang path. Young master has so generously shared your profound understanding and insights. I have no way to repay you but to offer this steel's opportunity in return." Only then did Lin Zaiasu notice the steel behind her. She had been sitting against the steel all along. "I can see that the young master possesses a primordial spirit. If you integrate it into this steel, you should gain something," Hu Jai added. Primordial spirit. Lin Zaiasu's heart was secretly shocked. His possession of a primordial spirit was an absolute secret. In that world, almost no one knew. Entering the ancient world, he had always been hiding his primordial spirit. Generally speaking, hiding a primordial spirit is impossible, but he could because he possessed a time-space secret realm. Once hiding his primordial spirit, it was beyond the understanding of gods and demons. Therefore, even masters at the level of Kinkyu Great Elder have no idea he possesses a primordial spirit. However, Hu Jai knows. Lin Zaiasu wasn't pretentious. He extended a finger and touched the steel. His primordial spirit entered the steel. Inside the steel, the chi was boundless and vast. Inside the steel, it was as if there was a broken grand hall. The yin and yang chi divided. Outside the hall was yang, inside was yin. This resulted in the hall being dim. However, his primordial spirit had very strong perception. He could see the inscriptions recorded within. The inscriptions were incomplete and chaotic. There were theories and there were practical applications. Just looking at the theories, from Lin Zaiasu's perspective, they seemed inferior to the Book of Changes, but the practical applications opened his eyes. What is practical application? It's its actual use. The uses of the yin-yang path are numerous, spanning very widely. There's the yin-yang hexagram, used for divination. There's the yin-yang grindstone, the kind of power Hu Jai used on Fenghua Road. The yin-yang power turns into dual grindstones, reaching high realms where the world is a grindstone and all things are beans, incredibly domineering. There's the yin-yang scissors, where the yin-yang power cuts, splitting all things in the world. There's the yin-yang step. One leg is yang, the other is yin, yin and yang interchange, allowing a person to instantaneously move. Lin Zaiasu stared at the yin-yang step. If his primordial spirit had eyes emitting light, they would be shining brightly now. The other aspects of the yin-yang path didn't capture his interest much, but the yin-yang step intrigued him greatly. This design concept is very peculiar. The 2 legs can be divided into yin and yang. The polarities interchange, the person almost transcending physical concepts, stepping into the mysterious heavenly Tao laws. If the yin-yang step is cultivated to great achievement realm, it truly could traverse the great array in one step and reach the heavens or the underworld without trace. Of course, the starting point for the yin-yang step is forming a space Tao seed. The term Tao seed made Lin Zaiasu feel overwhelmed at first glance. The Tao seeds of the heavenly Tao 7 techniques, how can they be easy? In the cultivation path, what is a Tao seed? It's the symbol of the enlightenment realm. A cultivator who comprehends the heavenly Tao rules and forms a Tao seed indicates genuine mastery in rule enlightenment. The professional term is enlightenment realm. See, the starting phase of Tao seed is in the late stage of enlightenment. Not easy to achieve. Take Lin Zaiasu, a peculiar case. His human Tao orchid heart is astounding. He comprehends various cultivation techniques within mere days, yet with his heavenly Tao 7 techniques and 5 techniques, he has only formed a single space Tao seed over such a long time. This demonstrates the difficulty of forming a Tao seed. He hadn't previously encountered the yin-yang law, so imagining he could form a Tao seed in a short time was virtually impossible. At this moment, a faint human figure appeared in the hall before him. This figure looked identical to Hu Jai, but behind her trailed 8 shadowy figures like 8 tails. This was Hu Jai's primordial spirit. Young master, I have a crazy idea, Hu Jai said. Crazy? Lin Ziasu was slightly taken aback. The yin-yang fish you painted earlier, the more I ponder it, the more it's filled with boundless potential. Why not let you and I each represent a polarity, and within this steel, interpret yin-yang, perhaps leading to unforeseen rewards? This steel is a holy land of the yin-yang path. She has diligently cultivated the yin-yang path for thousands of years. He, although his comprehension in the yin-yang path is nearly non-existent, proposed the yin-yang fish theory, which is endlessly mysterious. Most crucially, she is female, representing yin. He is male, representing yang. The two use their innate attributes as the origin to perform on sight the profound, unfathomable yin-yang fish. Hu Jai was very excited at this moment. On the path of rules and laws, forming the Tao seed, blooming the Tao flower and plucking the Tao fruit. Her Tao realm had long seen the bloom of the great Tao flower, but she was still missing the final step toward the Tao fruit. The difficulty in achieving the Tao fruit lay in her inability to make her yin-yang grid flawless, as this intertwining of yin-yang demanded an extraordinarily insane level of law control. Any imperfection would cause the entire structure of the path diagram to collapse completely. But now, the emergence of this yin-yang fish showed her another path. Avoid the yin-yang grid, directly approach the yin-yang fish. It entirely bypasses the insanely extreme grid building of yin-yang weaving. This sense of relief, this excitement, what is it similar to? Like a modern data worker, after months of overwhelming workload facing endless databases, a programmer suddenly tells her, actually, this pile of complex work can be easily handled by one small program. Lin Ziasu's heart also accelerated. Nothing could be better. A soft humming sound was heard. Lin Ziasu's primordial spirit suddenly turned snow white. Silently, Hu Jai's primordial spirit turned pitch black. Under a magical force's guidance, they transformed into a Tai Kai yin-yang fish. Yang pole Lin Ziasu as the base, yin pole Hu Jai as the base. Yin-yang path at this moment became tangible. Traces of qi exchanged between them. Lin Ziasu received Hu Jai's qi, feeling the yin power within her qi. Hu Jai also received Lin Ziasu's qi, which carried a burning yang attribute. This yang attribute from another body entering and melding with her yin caused Hu Jai to suddenly feel a strange sensation, as if she and he were merging. This thought triggered ripples throughout her qi. Lin Ziasu was influenced by her, suddenly feeling as though the distance between them was zero. Young master, don't let your Tao heart be confused. Hu Jai's voice trembled softly. Chapter 627, Chapter 626, A long-standing spiritual connection. The two of them forced themselves to suppress. However, as time passed and their understanding of the yin-yang Tao grew deeper, the yin-yang fish formed within the steel began to move, spinning around. During its rotation, the two of them became increasingly sensitive, until even their physical bodies changed in appearance. Hu Jai's face was flushed with a rosy hue. Her cherry lips parted slightly as her breathing became rapid. Meanwhile, Lin Ziasu's physical form distorted below. Although his primordial spirit was out of the body, this energy transmission still mysteriously connected with the body through the primordial spirit. A spontaneous physiological reaction was produced. Perhaps this reaction further fed back to their primordial spirits, and both of their spirits experienced a wonderful sensation. Especially Hu Jai. Unlike Lin Zios, she had been an outlier in the Fox clan for thousands of years, never getting close to any male, and if a 1,000-year-old building caught fire, it truly would be hard to extinguish. But Hu Jai's cultivation was unfathomably profound, and she still issued a reminder. Young master, do not let your Tao heart be disturbed. In this exceptionally sensitive and profoundly elusive Tao contemplation, amidst the intertwining of the yin-yang fish, they struggled to maintain their Tao heart for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The 3rd day, they entered deeper waters. Hu Jai's entire body was like fire. Her primordial spirit seemed to faintly emit a red glow, and she reminded once again, young master, do not let your Tao heart go astray. This reminder seemed directed at Lin Ziasu, but only she knew it was a reminder to herself, for she could no longer endure. Lin Ziasu replied to her, in the yin-yang Tao, going with the flow is the way ferry we might have, lost our direction. Go with the flow. Hu Jai's primordial spirit seemed to tremble with sound. Lin Ziasu said, this This is just my personal opinion. Fairies' Tao realm is transcendent and should know right from wrong. Their intertwined yin-yang fish became restless, seemingly at a critical point, perhaps reflecting Hu Jai's inner conflict. Finally, she sighed softly. Go with the flow, yin-yang great Tao come. With a booming sound, it was as if the painstakingly guarded defense line collapsed, and the yin-yang fish soared into the sky, entwining and blending in the air. Another day and night passed. Hu Jai sat cross-legged in front of the steel. Her forehead unexpectedly bore a faint sheen of sweat, more vibrant than the peach forest outside. Above her head, the seemingly eternal darkness moved. Beneath her feet, the seemingly eternal whiteness moved, transforming into a peculiar diagram. It was unmistakably the Tai Kai yin-yang fish. As soon as the Tai Kai yin-yang fish was formed, a similar diagram appeared in sync within her sea of consciousness. Hu Jai's entire body trembled. Tao fruit achieved. Her Tao fruit was the yin-yang fish. She had truly stepped into the threshold of the state of holding. Meanwhile, it was as if a drop of tear fell from the sky into Lin Ziasu's sea of consciousness. Yin-yang Tao seed formed. The two Tao seeds stood side by side within his sea of consciousness space. Both Tao seeds were crystal clear. However, they were vastly different. Inside the space Tao seed, space fluctuated indefinitely. Inside the yin-yang Tao seed, a yin-yang fish coiled, as if it were a living being. With the formation of this yin-yang Tao seed, Lin Ziasu's sea of reincarnation seemed to suddenly expand to the extremes. Or maybe it wasn't this sudden expansion, but rather during 4 days and nights of contemplation, the sea of reincarnation under the nourishment of yin-yang power had always been expanding, and it was only then he realized it. What does it mean to expand to the extreme? It means Lin Ziasu suddenly had a peculiar sensation. He felt the sea of reincarnation within him reach perfection. The edges truly formed. The 9 stars in the sky seemed fully connected, truly integrating with the immense sea of reincarnation, a legendary realm recorded in Cultivation. On the North Tower, Saintess Kyan Ling opened her eyes. Her eyes opened, appearing extraordinarily unique. Her left eye showed the shadow of a towering tree, while her right eye held a flame. Inspired by the yin-yang fish, she entered a state of sudden enlightenment. In one session of enlightenment, her wood element Tao seed gave birth to a fire element Tao seed. This was a spectacle she had not achieved in her previous life. In her previous life, she was a standard practitioner of the wood element Tao. But in this life, sensing the mysterious structure of the intertwining yin-yang fish, her wood element Tao seed miraculously gave birth to a fire element Tao seed. This wasn't merely about adding another Tao seed. This was an unprecedented, monumental innovation. The heavenly Tao 5 elements: wood generates fire, fire generates earth, earth generates metal, metal generates water, water generates wood. This was the mutual generation of the 5 elements. The heavenly Tao 5 elements, in concert with the yin-yang qi. The Saintess Kyan Ling had been striving to regain her peak state. But who could have imagined, on this Kinkyu mountain, observing the yin-yang fish, it would inspire the wild imaginings within her million-year coffin and truly fulfill the first step of the 5 elements Tao rules. Saintess Kyan Ling's excitement was uncontrollable. Suddenly, she noticed the path diagram behind Hu Jai. Saintess Kyan Ling was taken aback. Not only had she made progress, but the fox girl from 3,000 years ago before her had progressed even further. She had directly broken through into the state of holding. And it was with the unprecedented yin-yang fish as her path diagram that she entered the state of holding. However, why did her expression look so peculiar? Red to an unusual extent, red with physiological health, yet physiologically health corresponds to psychological unhealthiness. Oh my God, could it be during her moment of enlightenment, the two of them engaged in some infamous act? Saintess Kyan Ling's gaze swiftly swept over, dismissing the thought. Impossible. Their clothes were intact. They sat properly. Thank goodness, thank goodness. If Lin Zios failed in his courtship at Kinkyu and instead turned around to wreak havoc on a legendary ancestor-level figure, that would truly be a huge ordeal. At this moment, Lin Ziasu opened his eyes. The moment his eyes opened, as if telepathically connected, Hu Jai's eyes opened too. When their eyes opened, there was no one else in them anymore. Their gaze intertwined, as if they had found the one they had been searching for through the vast expanse of time, spanning thousands of years, in the midst of the boundless sea of people. With surprise, endless surprise, You feel a strange sensation, Lin Zaiasu transmitted through his consciousness. We've only just met, but it seems like we've known each other for a long time spiritually. Spiritual connection. These words fell into Hu Jai's sea of consciousness, causing her yin-yang fish to tremble. Young master, don't let it mislead your Tao heart. It was the 8th time she mentioned this. And this time, her words were most complex. Just because these words were too sensitive. Spiritual connection. It's really the literal meaning. Their physical bodies were in order, but their primordial spirits had indeed connected. Lin Zaiasu stood up. Hu Jai, despite cultivating for thousands of years and having surpassed the mundane, was incredibly nervous at this moment. My goodness, is the spiritual connection not enough? Do you still want to experience the sensations of the flesh? Should I give in to him? My goodness, my heart is in turmoil. Fortunately, Lin Zaiasu turned away. Only then did Hu Jai notice that Saintess Kaian Ling, who was in a state of enlightenment, had also awakened. Senior sister, are you awake? We must leave now, Lin Zaiasu said. Saintess Kaian Ling nodded gently and stood up. Hu Jai just breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly feeling chaotic again. He's leaving. Farewell, senior. Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling bowed simultaneously. Hu Jai took a deep breath. Are you heading back to Kinkyu Clan Master Peak? 5 days have already passed since that day. The matter is long settled. Why stir up annoyance again? Lin Zaiasu smiled and said, we will descend the mountain ourselves. Let me escort you to the peach grove. Thank you, senior. The yin-yang fish behind Hu Jai rotated, and Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling distanced themselves from her. They landed on the waterway below Kinkyu Mountain. The swallow boat they brought was still on the waterway. Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling landed on the swallow boat. Lin Zaiasu looked up, watching the white clouds drifting in the sky like a fox's tail. The fox's tail withdrew, and the clouds dispersed. It was a clear sky. Lin Zaiasu circulated his true chi, and the swallow boat entered the peach blossom grove. The first thing we did in this realm ended in failure, Saintess Kaian Ling secretly transmitted. Have you summed up where we went wrong? Lin Zaiasu smiled silently. Saintess Kaian Ling said, 2 reasons. Firstly, more practically, the rules were in others' control. There's no reason to speak for them. Senior sister, your insight is remarkable, Lin Zaiasu remarked. And the second reason. Secondly, you chose the wrong song from the start. With so many good songs in Daxia, you chose Yesterday's Fragrance, a song about unfulfilled desires. You're practically cursing yourself. Haha, Lin Zaiasu laughed. Saintess Kaian Ling glanced at him sideways. You are optimistic, but the situation is truly difficult. With such a marriage alliance between Kinkyu and the Heart Pavilion, right outside the great Xiatashan defense line, there's now a formidable enemy, especially a force like Heart Pavilion that specializes in disrupting the world. Do you really think Elder Li Qianzong can withstand it? I'm optimistic because there are still variables in this marriage. Saintess Kaian Ling was deeply shaken. There are still variables. Lin Zaiasu did not answer, his eyes fixed on the lake ahead. As Saintess Kaian Ling's gaze followed, her heart skipped a beat. This was the central location of the 100-mile peach blossom grove. This season, peach blossoms floated down, showcasing the ultimate leisure of the 100-mile waterway amidst boundless beauty. But now the situation had changed. The falling peach blossoms seemed incredibly slow. The water flow seemed incredibly slow. A mystical pressure rested upon this beautiful peach blossom grove. Boy, judging by your expression, you seem to already know. This sentence fell along with the peach blossom. As the voice landed, a magical curtain seemed to open in front of them, and a flower boat appeared. On the boat were 5 silhouettes, precisely the 5 from Heart Pavilion. Behind them, at some point, a dense fog had arisen. The dense fog was like a curtain, blocking all directions. What do you intend to do? Lin Zaiasu said calmly. Li Chengnian stepped forward, unfurling a folding fan with a swoosh. Kid, those who thwart Heart Pavilion's grand plans have never met a good end, be it the local sect or those from the strange realm. Lin Zaiasu said, in fact, to this point, I haven't inflicted any actual damage on you. Indeed, despite your numerous tricks, the marriage between me and the Kinkyu 7th princess remains unaffected. The 7th princess you covet will be moaning under me in 3 months, Li Chengnian said. However, some things are judged not just by the result but the process. Your interference greatly displeased me. which is why I've delayed my return to Beijing for several days, just to take your head." Lin Zaiasu laughed, his smile surprisingly carefree. The steward's face darkened. "Young master, this is beneath Kinkyu Mountain after all. We mustn't cause unnecessary trouble." Before the voice fell, the black-bearded elder took a step into the air. He at the peak of enlightenment. He was the blade meant to kill Lin Zaiasu and his senior sister. Even though Heart Pavilion and Kinkyu successfully formed an alliance, Lin Zaiasu's spoiling of Li Chengnian, the prodigious son of heavens, business still stood as a thorn in their hearts. Thus he must be killed. This was the consistent logic of Heart Pavilion's people. In their worldly actions, they were always undeterred, supporting this logic. The black-bearded elder reached midair, carefully avoiding alerting the enemy. Though he did not display the 1,000-feet Dharma body, the pressure belonging to the peak of enlightenment realm still covered the peach grove, preventing any wind and rain from crossing. Seeing his claw about to seize Lin Zaiasu's head, suddenly a sword appeared in Lin Zaiasu's hand. The sword light emerged. As the sword light arose, the entire world seemed to fall into a forgotten corner of time. This sword, an improved version of the Li Ren swordsmanship, infused with the Time Law's Time Sword, Time. Chapter 628, Chapter 627, Entering the Heart Pavilion Through Transformation. Chab. The black-bearded elder was split in half. Everyone's eyes widened simultaneously, including Saintess Kaian Ling. Saintess Kaian Ling knew about Lin Zaiasu's sword Dao. She was even the first to discover he possessed sword intent, and she had witnessed the folded space opening on the 3rd of March, and he had fought the Enlightenment Realm for several minutes. She knew he was not someone the Enlightenment Realm could easily take down. However, she fought coldly, and could not have imagined the result would be completely overturned. Lin Zaiasu only used one sword, effortlessly killing this Enlightenment Realm, as if casually swatting a fly. That's right. This was his breakthrough. He had connected to the broken path of the remnant way to heaven. His cultivation path had progressed by leaps and bounds. The Enlightenment Realm to him, to be precise, the Enlightenment Body Realm to him, was nothing more than one sword. She barely accepted this fact, but who on the flower boat could accept it? The Dragon Clan warrior roared. Leapt up. With earth-shattering momentum, he punched down. Above the water's surface, the dragon's roar rose. There truly was a sense of 10,000 dragons crossing a river. He rose up. Lin Zaiasu rose as well. One sword strike. The eyes of the Dragon Clan warrior widened. His hands seemed to spiral upward. This was the peculiarity of the Dragon Clan. When exerting full cultivation, even the most indestructible sword beam would not harm their physical bodies in the slightest. However, Lin Zaiasu's sword did not win by the sharpness of its blade. Under the sword, a scene of misty rain Jiangnan. As the sword fell, the entire space turned to dust and ashes, integrated with the space law of the vaporization. The Dragon Clan warrior died even faster and more thoroughly. Li Chengnian's heart shook violently. Using all his cultivation, the flower boat beneath his feet shot towards the exit of the peach forest like an arrow leaving the string. However, just at the moment the flower boat started moving, pop. The steward on the flower boat transformed into a blood mist. Chab. A crystalline peach blossom branch pierced through the maid's forehead beside him. Saintess Kaian Ling stepped onto the flower boat. Arriving there simultaneously was Lin Zaiasu, as he shattered the steward on the spot, pointed directly at Li Chengnian's forehead. The air seemed to freeze. Li Chengnian's eyes suddenly widened, his expression blank, his whole body unmoving from then on. The flower boat floated down the waterway, its speed slowing. Finally, as it was nearing the exit of the peach blossom checkpoint, the flower boat completely lost its momentum and came to a halt. Lin Zaiasu's finger slowly moved away from Li Chengnian's forehead, and Li Chengnian fell headfirst to the ground. Saintess Kaian Ling exhaled lightly. This is your optimism because you can already kill the peak of enlightenment with one strike. That's not important, Lin Zaiasu said. What is important is what interesting transformation will follow. What kind of transformation? Like this? As Lin Zaiasu spoke these 3 words, his face suddenly changed, becoming Li Chengnian's. Saintess Kaian Ling's heart skipped, disguising to infiltrate the Heart Pavilion. The Heart Pavilion is a very interesting institution. Using it as a fulcrum can pry the great wilderness dynasty. Lin Ziasu's voice also changed to Li Chengyan's. Even the expression on his face was identical to Li Chengyan's. Saintess Kyan Ling's heart was pounding vigorously. Entering the ancient wilderness seemed like the first failed move, but the game was not over. He played his second move, directly ending Li Chengyan's life, adopting his disguise to infiltrate the Heart Pavilion, using the Heart Pavilion as a fulcrum to pry the great wilderness dynasty. Could he? Compared to the current predicament, this was of course a brilliant move. After all, he could abandon his previous ghostly wanderer status and step into the high-level institutions of Beijing. In terms of tactics, the nine-headed snake is a professional, and he is the one personally digging the pit and burying the nine-headed snake. In any institution, he could achieve great things. However, Saintess Kyan Ling took a deep breath. Your strategies are always ingenious, yet you seem to have deviated from our original intent. Original intent, borrowing Kangyuan to subdue the ancient wilderness. Yes. In fact, I did not have that original intent, Lin Ziasu said. The root I set in my heart has always been this one. Saintess Kyan Ling frowned. Before entering the ancient wilderness, you already knew about the Heart Pavilion, and even plotted against it. I did not know the Heart Pavilion at first, but I knew there was a dynasty. Leveraging the power of the dynasty offers more operational space compared to borrowing Kangyuan's power. Dynasty. This was a concept that suddenly emerged. This was a system that had not been included in the original breaking through the situation thinking. Just because Saintess Kyan Ling had always been a cultivator, she knew that on the cultivation path, the strong are revered. As for the dynasty, few high cultivators cared about it. The dynasty was basically the pinnacle of the secular system, not much related to cultivation. Lin Ziasu seemed to see through her thoughts at a glance and explained, in many people's understanding, the dynasty and the cultivation path don't intersect, but you must believe this. Since it can firmly hold a position in the countless cultivation worlds of the state of holding, it must have its own power. Otherwise, it would have long been devoured with no trace left in the natural law of the weak being preyed upon by the strong. Saintess Kyan Ling slowly exhaled. The most formidable thing about the dynasty lies in its imperial seal and official seal. The imperial seal and official seal gather the power of faith from hundreds of billions of citizens, possessing divine might. Even holding the way cannot oppose it. I'm aware of this, but your time is too tight. You cannot possibly climb to the highest position in the bureaucracy in such a short time to obtain the imperial seal or the king's seal that can rival the state of holding. Indeed, I don't have time to slowly rise through the ranks, but with the benefit of the Heart Pavilion, I can make the bureaucracy work for me. Saintess Kyan Ling's eyes gleamed bright. Without entering bureaucracy, yet making the bureaucracy serve him. If it were an ordinary person, this statement would be nonsense. But Saintess Kyan Ling wouldn't forget his past journey. He never entered Kyanlong from the beginning. He always remained a non-staff member, yet did he not use the power of Hidden Dragon? He was always using it. Even just past the 3rd of March, he was one of the general commanders of the 3 great defense lines of the Hidden Dragon. He casually dispatched Hidden Dragon resources and personnel, easily manipulating the big picture. Who had objections? His involvement with Kyanlong spanned only 2 or 3 years in total. Matter of bureaucracy, countless changes, yet at the root it's all about value. As long as the great wilderness dynasty could recognize his value, why would he worry about not having high officials waiting for him or lacking power to use? This is his path. Compared to her crafted Kangyuan path, his path seems to have more operational space. After all, nobody knows where the Kangyuan headquarters is, while the great wilderness imperial city is just 1,000 miles away, visible and tangible. So from now on, are you Li Chengyan, steward of the Heart Pavilion in Desert City? Saintess Kyan Ling asked. Yes, henceforth we part ways the world over. You head to Spirit Mountain, I enter the capital. Lin Ziasu lightly flicked a folding fan in his hand. Li Chengyan's corpse turned into a blood mist, the fan waved like a fan man. Little scholar met Miss Ling by chance, felt like old friends at first sight. Facing parting, one cannot easily sever. The words were absolutely flowery. The meaning was simple and straightforward, to send her off. Entering the ancient wilderness, like duckweed into the river, Lin Ziasu found his life's footing, allowing Saintess Kyan Ling to leave at ease and head to Spirit Mountain. Saintess Kyan Ling gently bit her lip. If the young master really cannot bear it, there is indeed a way. I can disguise myself as the young master's maid, still able to be by your side in Beijing." Lin Ziyasu's eyes widened. For as soon as Saintess Kaian Ling said this, a crystalline light flashed from her fingertips, turning into a branch, piercing the forehead of that maid on the deck. Next came an unheard phenomenon. The beautiful lady on the ground seemed to have lost all flesh and blood, leaving only a human skin, while Saintess Kaian Ling's hair turned from golden yellow to jet black, and her face became identical to that of the maid. Transformation technique. This was also the transformation technique. Her transformation technique was different from Lin Ziyasu's. Lin Ziyasu transformed at will, while hers was more like absorption and conversion. She absorbed the maid's bodily essence, transforming into her appearance. Purely at the level, it seemed to be far from Lin Ziyasu and the Blue Demon's transformation technique because it was very limited. Yet after transforming, Lin Ziyasu realized her truly high-end aspect, her entire body's energy, identical to that of the maid earlier. This replication of energy, even Lin Ziyasu was caught in admiration. Because Lin Ziyasu could at best imitate, while she seemed to replicate. As the human skin on the deck turned into fluttering butterflies, all belonging to the Heart Pavilion on the flower boat were gone. The boat remained, the instruments inside unchanged, but the people had entirely switched. Lin Ziyasu said, "You've wandered in foreign lands for so many years. Don't you have the eagerness of an arrow to return home? In the great Zia poetry collection you have a line, 'The nearer the home, the more one's feelings tremble, dare not ask the ones who come.'" Saintess Kaian Ling said, "This is probably my most genuine reflection at this moment." 1,000,000 years away, things in the clan had already changed beyond recognition. Even though the spirit race has long lifespans, they cannot possibly live past 10,000 years. Her parents, relatives, her former brothers and sisters, most likely all died completely. Unless someone among them chose the blood coffin for longevity or some other secret method of extending life. This "unless" is her entire expectation. However, uncovering this lid requires great courage. This is known as the nearer the home, the more one's feelings tremble, dare not ask the ones who come. Even if Lin Ziyasu cannot empathize with her, he completely understands. All right then, we enter Desert City. The Heart Pavilion aims for the world. There should be records of the spirit clan within the pavilion. Let's take a look first. The ship moved, exiting the peach grove. Outside was Zhuozhai Lake. Zhuozhai Lake still looked the same as 5 days ago, the lake teeming with boats, lively and bustling. The scenery on both sides uniquely vivid, clusters of Zhuozhai by the riverbank, wandering the grass like lambs on a prairie. The ship hosts numerous humanoid Zhuozhai, looking at these Zhuozhai as if looking at their children, perhaps not just like, those Zhuozhai are indeed their offspring. Their gazes fell on Lin Ziyasu's boat, feeling the familiar energy from Saintess Kaian Ling. They were amicable. Shouldn't we first understand the situation outside, grasp the basics of the Heart Pavilion? Saintess Kaian Ling transmitted a message, also convenient for infiltrating the Heart Pavilion. No need. I've already understood the situation of the Heart Pavilion, Lin Ziyasu replied. When did you learn about it? Through whom did you learn? Saintess Kaian Ling frowned slightly. Could it have been at Hu Jai's North Tower after I reached enlightenment and you had a pleasant conversation? This was the only conclusion she could reach from her perspective. Lin Ziyasu nodded lightly in acknowledgement. During her enlightenment period, more than just a pleasant chat with Hu Jai, it was a delightful interaction. What is interaction? Even divine interaction counts. However, issues of the Heart Pavilion were unrelated to Hu Jai. Chapter 629, Chapter 628, Xuanwang Flying Car. Hu Jai doesn't even care about her own clan's affairs. How could she manage matters of the Heart Pavilion? Even if she wanted to discuss it, there was essentially nothing to talk about. Lin Ziyasu understood the Heart Pavilion, not by conversing with people, but through the subtle use of subdivine skills. His sub-god skill attainment was increasingly profound, especially in the area of making people speak the truth. He had reached a new level, a sub-god soul-searching technique. Sub-god soul-searching, a contact-based soul-searching. A finger touches the opponent's forehead, and the memories in their mind are directly extracted. This is an extraordinary skill that can make the world take notice. It's even an extremely terrifying skill. He touched Li Chengyan's forehead with one finger, and through his sea of consciousness imprint, deciphered many things. It was precisely these things that moved him and made him truly resolute about the next path, to intervene in the dynasty through the Heart Pavilion. Why? Because the Heart Pavilion already had a deep connection with the great Wilderness dynasty. The Crown Prince Hong Ding regards the Heart Pavilion as a close confidant. The Heart Pavilion also regards the Crown Prince as their lord. Over the years, they have accomplished many things for him. The core one among these was gradually weakening the power of the former Crown Prince Hong Lai, facilitating the downfall of this unfortunate front Crown Prince and enabling Hong Ding, the third prince, to rightfully take the Eastern Palace. Currently, they are plotting a grander scheme. Li Chengyan, being merely a steward, is unaware of the specific plan, yet the target indicated by one or two clues causes Lin Xiaosu great unease. He also learned that in the past 5 days, Yu and the Heart Pavilion agreed on a marriage proposal. In 3 months, the 7th princess will marry into the Li family. Li Chengyan had smugly said to him earlier, "The 7th princess you pursue will be groaning under me in 3 months," which is indeed not false. He also knows that this maid named Yan, who appears on the surface as Li Chengyan's concubine, is actually one of Crown Prince Hong Ding's people. She believed her identity to be very hidden, but in reality, Li Chengyan had long since figured it out. Yet this brat doesn't expose it, and every day comes up with various inappropriate ways to mess with her, like pressing her against the wall or on the table, or opening the window and lifting a leg, deliberately letting others see. He uses this method to subtly announce his displeasure, with others monitoring him. Lin Xiaosu also learned the core structure of the Heart Pavilion. There are 2 pavilion masters in the Heart Pavilion of Desert City. One is a puppet in the open, and the other is the true master in the basement. The overall strength of the Heart Pavilion is not strong, because their principle is to use wisdom rather than force. However, even the so-called not strong perceived by Li Chengyan, when converted to the cultivation levels Lin Xiaosu can understand, is still astonishing. The Heart Pavilion of Desert City, the open leader is in the Enlightenment God realm. The hidden leader in the Enlightenment realm, and their sub-god skill attainment is pretty outstanding. Suspected to be Zhuozhai. The 8 elders, all in the Enlightenment of God. There are hundreds of miscellaneous elders, like the black-bearded elder, who are at the peak of enlightenment. Plus, there's a large number of disciples. Direct disciples, elite disciples, servant disciples, spread across the backyards of various government houses in Beijing. Among them, there are even several who entered the Eastern Palace, even the Imperial Palace. Their boat traveled hundreds of miles, the river deepened, wind and clouds stirred ahead, like the reopening of heaven and earth. They finally left the realm of Zhuozhai Lake and entered the land of Central State. Central State, a region rich with fish and rice. As the boat sails, the prosperity along the banks is visible. However, prosperity is always the privilege of the few. His heavenly Tao wisdom eye also saw many common people barely clothed, even saw villagers beaten to death in the grass. Alright, everything that should exist in a feudal society is here. As the sun sets, the river turns golden. Saintess Kaian Ling came out of the cabin holding a tray with roast meat. "Master, please dine." Lin Xiaosu laughed. With his laugh, Saintess Kaian Ling gave him a glare. "What's so funny? I'm trying hard to learn how not to mess up." "You're destined to mess up." Saintess Kaian Ling disagreed. "Why?" "Because of 2 points. First, on the surface you're Li Chengyan's maid Yan, secretly you're the Crown Prince's spy, and you don't even know who your contact person is." Saintess Kaian Ling furrowed her brow, sighed heavily. "Oh my God, playing this kind of game again. I can't stand it. Should I defect?" "Defect? No matter who comes to contact me, I'll kill them. Send a strong message to that useless Crown Prince. I won't comply with his orders. I'll only be responsible for my master from now on." Saintess Kaian Ling blinked. "Master, aren't you happy? Having a beauty's unwavering devotion, how could any man not feel that this life was worthwhile? How could he not be pleased?" Lin Xiaosu said. "You said 2 points of trouble, this was 1. What about the second one?" "The second one is a bit hard to say." Lin Xiaosu hesitated, his gaze flickering. "Come on, what's so hard to say? Just say it." Saintess Kaian Ling was impatient. "Then I'll really say it." "What do you mean, really? Hurry." Lin Xiaosu sighed deeply. "Li Chengyan, that bastard, really is trash. His maid Yan, he messes with her daily, sometimes even with the window open. He turns this absurdity into silent rebellion against the Crown Prince's monitoring. Others have grown accustomed to it. But now we've all changed. You and I are courteous and respectful, but if noticed by someone, it surely will be exposed. Saintess Kyan Ling slowly bit her lip. You're making this up, aren't you? Heaven knows I'm not. Saintess Kyan Ling said. I get it. The point is if we don't want to blow our cover, we need to abandon all propriety between us, right? Ahem. You, habits die hard. I'm also at fault for calling myself your senior sister. Truthfully, I've known for a long time you have a notorious reputation as a senior sister slayer. Isn't it true? Anyone you've ever called senior sister hasn't escaped your clutches, right? How is that possible? Stop tarnishing my reputation. Not admitting it, tarnishing your reputation. Saintess Kyan Ling glared at him. Do you dare say the term husband Feng Jai uttered on her deathbed was a slip of the tongue? Do you dare claim Blue Demon was entirely innocent? Not the same, not the same, Lin Zaiasu said. How about you go to the spirit clan? Staying by my side ambiguously might really damage your reputation. I genuinely don't want to taint this pure flower bud of yours. Saintess Kyan Ling uttered a single word. She had a belly full of words to say, yet she didn't speak. Not wanting to taint this pure flower bud sounds prettier than any song. Who are you trying to fool? You actually think I can't see through you. You've always wanted to. From our first meeting, you dared to reach your hand beneath someone's waist. What wouldn't you dare to contemplate? But do you really think you can taint whatever you wish? Do you think the pants belt of the spirit clan saintess is like some wild vine? Even if it were, it'd be a vine of iron. For the next 3 days, the flower boat flowed downstream, its speed quite swift, yet for those entire 3 days, it remained within the domain of Central State. The vastness of this world is truly unimaginable. At this pace, in what year or month will we reach Beijing? This afternoon, Lin Zaiasu made a decision. We won't take the boat anymore, let's fly. Saintess Kyan Ling frowned. Li Chengnian isn't like you, he wouldn't fly. The meaning was clear. If you're going to pretend, go all the way. If your flight path is spotted, anyone will know you're not Li Chengnian. Lin Zaiasu said, there's a magic artifact flying boat ahead, heading directly to Desert City. Though the price is steep, what's to fear? The money spent definitely isn't surnamed Lin. That's more like it. The two abandoned the boat and disembarked. They lightly touched the ground with their toes and entered the next city. The city is called Thunder City. Thunder City has a magic artifact flying boat. This flying boat is a massive industry chain. Belongs to a super sect that no one under heaven dares to underestimate. This sect is called the Xuanwang sect. Yes, one of the upper 3 sects, the Xuanwang sect. The headquarters of the Xuanwang sect isn't in the Dahuang domain. It's far away in the central domain. This world is astoundingly large, with the 5 domains and 3 ruins, east, south, west, north, and center, alongside spirit ruins, demon ruins, and ancient divine ruins. Every domain has dozens to hundreds of realms. These realms vary from thousands of kilometers wide to mere inches. In Li Chengnian's memory, the concept of area didn't exist, but through the information within his memory, Lin Zaiasu roughly estimated that the explored regions equate to thousands of Earth size, and that's only the known areas. Vast regions remain unknown. The current location, Dahuang Country. It's part of the southern domain. Xuanwang sect is affiliated with the central domain. Yet, as a super giant like those within the depths of the 3 sects, their influence long ago transcended the concept of domains. For instance, Xuanwang sect not only excels remarkably in the cultivation sphere, but also in everyday life among ordinary people. For instance, in the transportation domain, they stand out prominently, utilizing cultivation advantages to manufacture flying boats that span thousands of kilometers in void space, integrating cultivation elements powerfully into the basic societal structure, thus earning continuous wealth. Upon entering Thunder City, direct your way to the city's east. In the east lies a towering array platform, named Xuanwang Space Sky Platform. This is where you board the void-spanning flying boat. The base of the platform is crafted entirely from ancient bluestone. Merely approaching it feels akin to looming beneath a 10,000 meters giant mountain, evoking a strong sense of oppression. A few disciples clad in standard uniforms guard the underside of the space sky platform, their clothing emblazoned with a large Xuan character, encircled by a red ring. This serves as their identity marker. Disciples of the Xuanwang sect have a Xuan marked directly on their attire, with their status distinguished by color. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, representing rank from lowly to esteemed. This was initiated by the Xuanwang sect and has long swept across the world, with numerous sects now attempting to emulate. Though merely the lowest-ranking red circle disciples, they hold their noses and eyes toward the heavens, acting aloof underneath this space platform. This is the honor brought to them by the sect. Lin Xiaosu and Saintess Kaian Ling came beneath the platform, stating their destination to Desert City. The disciple on the left held up 3 fingers, 300 desert coins per person. 600 desert coins were handed to them, and the two ascended the space sky platform. The cost was truly exorbitant, considering that when Lin Xiaosu rented a swallow boat at Zhuozhai Lake, which was essentially a purchase since they didn't return it, he only spent 1 desert coin. But it doesn't matter, as Lin Xiaosu said, it's not his money being spent. Chapter 630, Chapter 629, Extortion Across Worlds 10,000 Laws Book. Whose money is being spent? The initial expenses came from those ghosts of the Heiyuan sect. Those ghosts might not have been very wealthy, as they didn't carry much desert coin, but Li Chengnian's group is quite rich. They've traveled thousands of miles to Kinkyu, coming for a marriage proposal, surely not stingy, carrying over 10,000 desert coins. This money, sorry to say, temporarily belongs to Lin or Ling at this stage. Stepping onto the heaven platform, boarding the giant flying boat, Lin Xiaosu scrutinized the peculiar runes on the flying boat, feeling a slight tremor in his heart. These runes included array patterns, but they were not just that. There was also the puppet path, making the seemingly ordinary side plank of the boat encompass all kinds of wonders. Passengers boarded one after another, and among them 2 groups began to quarrel for some unknown reason, almost drawing weapons against each other. Suddenly, a man in white within a yellow circle walked out leisurely, raised his hand, and spread the index and middle finger of his right hand, pointing at the leaders of the 2 groups, calmly saying, "On the Xuanwang boat, slaughter is prohibited. Anyone who dares to violate this, be it from the imperial family or a cultivation sect, shall be killed, and their bodies thrown off the Xuanwang boat." Both groups fell completely silent. "Understood," the elder asked once more with 4 words. "Understood," the leader on the left answered. The man on the right, with a face full of rough flesh, was still trying to adjust his inner mindset, unable to answer for a while. Slap! A loud slap landed on his face, causing him to crash into the railing behind him. The elder coldly said, "I ask you, do you understand?" That man sank to his knees with a thud. This humble one understands. The entire boat fell silent. Saintess Kaian Ling whispered into Lin Xiaosu's ear, "Did you see that? This is the dominance of the upper 3 sects. This is just the upper 3 sects, not the super abyss. Abyss and 3 sects. The abyss is above the 3 sects." In the Xuanwang sect, an elder within the yellow circle ranked in the lower middle level if classified by red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, dared to disregard the imperial family, casually slapping someone. In that moment, her initial plan seemed to resurface. She still felt if there was a chance, she should enter Kangyuan. Lin Xiaosu smiled slightly, not responding. His gaze turned outward beyond the clouds. The primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness appeared beside the time-space river. Time-space secret realm, time-space river. The lonely lotus spun in solitude endlessly. Big Yellow suddenly lifted his head, staring at Lin Xiaosu beside the time-space river. "Little brother, today you finally have time." His tone was unprecedentedly gentle. His expression was that of one seeing the dawn after endless torment. He really wanted to chat with Lin Xiaosu. The urgency came from a stunning legend. Lin Xiaosu's primordial spirit traversed the time-space river back and forth, turning this forbidden zone into his backyard. Thus, Big Yellow had a bold thought, wondering if this lad truly had the ability to freely enter and exit the time-space river. If he could enter and exit, what about himself? Wouldn't he be able to be led by him to freely enter and exit as well? The prospect of release from imprisonment that had lasted countless tens of thousands of years was at hand. Moved by this immense stimulus, his manner of addressing Lin Xiaosu changed, from lad directly to little brother. If lowering his stance could realize his ultimate wish, he wouldn't actually mind calling him uncle. "Today we can indeed have a chat. Do you know why?" Lin Xiaosu smiled and said, I am on the Xuanwang flying boat with thousands of miles of journey ahead, might as well talk to pass the time. Big Yellow's eyes widened suddenly. You're on the Xuanwang flying boat. I'll open a passage, see for yourself. Lin Zaiasu made a gentle stroke with his hand, opening a window above the time-space river. Through the window, Big Yellow saw the scenes outside. The patterns of the Xuanwang flying boat, the Xuan character on the disciples of Xuanwang, the circle outside, and the various figures belonging to the desolate ancient realm. Big Yellow's lips trembled. You have actually reached the desolate ancient realm. My cross-realm journey is mainly for you. For me? Yes, didn't you once tell me you were by Xuanwang, the sect master of the Xuanwang sect? I'm a kind-hearted person, can't bear to see you die and your soul half gone, unable to return to Xuanwang sect for life. So I took the risk of crossing realms, thinking of returning this coffin of yours to the Xuanwang you yearn for. Lin Zaiasu's voice was full of emotion. Big Yellow was in turmoil. If he hadn't seen the Xuanwang boat with his own eyes, he'd never believe Lin Zaiasu could indeed reach the desolate ancient realm. But he saw it with his own eyes. Upon seeing it, he knew this lad could really fulfill his return to Xuanwang sect. If he truly were by Xuanwang, the sect master of Xuanwang, Lin's great kindness could be summed up with 4 words: grace like rebirth. But the world's affairs fear, but he is not by Xuanwang. He is an extremely sensitive figure within the Xuanwang sect, someone they couldn't kill fast enough, someone they fear not being dead enough. You little rascal, there are so many warm-hearted deeds in the world. Why must you be so enthusiastic over this one? Do you not realize your kindness might indeed lead to someone's death? In front of him, he was trapped inside the blood coffin, unable to escape from the time-space river within, but there was not yet a threat to his life. Once delivered to the Xuanwang sect, if the elders there laid eyes on him, how could he still have a chance to live? No matter what earth-shattering abilities Big Yellow had, he was firmly bound within the time-space river, unable to move. Wouldn't the Xuanwang sect, armed with 1,000 years of patience and 10,000 methods, end the life of a fly caught in a web? Big Yellow, are you deeply moved? Lin Zaiasu said. I understand such sentiments well. As the ancient poem goes, away from home for ages, 10,000 years wear down man's affairs alike, only the Xuanwang mirror lakes water, unchanged by the spring breeze from former times. Big Yellow slowly raised his gaze, his face full of complexity. Kid, why are you so earnest? Big Yellow, we've been old friends for a long time and I won't hide from you. I'm actually not that earnest. I have my own goals, Lin Zaiasu said. The Xuanwang sect in this realm is a mighty force. If I deliver them a living ancestor, surely their reward to me would be unprecedentedly generous. I receive the reward and you return home. Isn't that a win-win? I returned home. Big Yellow was between laughter and tears, knowing Lin's reward was foreseeable, but how to interpret his return home? Was it his return to the deepest, old home beneath ground? His greetings toward Lin Zaiasu's ancestry gradually turned into a twisted expression. Kid, I actually don't want to go home. Facing a threat to his life, his address to Lin Zaiasu reverted. How could that be? Based on common feelings and logic, how can a person's soul, wandering long in the time-space river without a physical body, not yearn for home? Based on common feelings and logic. Kid, do you understand what it means for each person to have their own ambitions? What right do you have to impose your ideas on me? Big Yellow was furious. Lin Zaiasu was stunned. Big Yellow sighed deeply. Little brother, I appreciate your care for this old man, but please don't take it upon yourself. Lin Zaiasu also sighed. Big Yellow, over the years, you've eaten my food, lived under my roof, constantly felt my care. Please understand my difficulties. I'm new to the desolate ancient realm, groping in the dark, finally finding a direction to get attention from this top-tier sect. Yet I must consider your inexplicable mentality and thereby give up all my opportunities. Don't forget, if I'm gone, you'll have a fate worse than death. Big Yellow looked up at the sky in silence for a long time. What do you hope to get from the Xuanwang sect? I hope to gain a lot, like miraculous cultivation techniques or valuable exotic treasures. What you want, don't go to the Xuanwang sect, I'll give it to you, Big Yellow said. So, can you respect an elder's different aspirations? Lin Zaiasu's heart raced, trying not to laugh. Big Yellow, I've always respected you. You can see my respect from the fact that the 2 words Big Yellow have never changed. Big Yellow nodded slightly. Techniques come in 2 kinds. One is one technique, and the other is 10,000 techniques. Pick one. What do you mean by one technique? And what about 10,000 techniques? One technique is a forbidden cultivation technique that you can cultivate on your own. 10,000 techniques are various forbidden secret arts from the Jianghu. You cannot use them yourself, but you can discern their roots and weaknesses. Both sound tempting. Can't I have both? Lin Zaiyasu asked. No, you can only choose one, Big Yellow replied sternly. Then I'll choose 10,000 techniques. Kid, I truly can't tell if you're wise or foolish, Big Yellow sighed. As you wish, I will use my primordial spirit to perform the 10,000 laws book. I will perform it only once. How much you remember depends on your own ability. Though the two appear to be close, in truth, they were worlds apart. When top cultivators transmit techniques, it's usually directly through their primordial spirit, but their primordial spirits spanned two worlds and couldn't directly connect. They could only use the one way they both could sense, using the primordial spirit to perform, for the other to observe. Good. Big Yellow's form shifted, and above the lotus a book appeared. The title was 10,000 Laws Book. A page turned. Soul-seeking technique, rooted in the death rule, controls the primordial spirit, can fully control, semi-control, or secretly control. Soul-chasing skill, a combination of the spiritual rule and death rule, can lie dormant within a person for 10,000 years. Once triggered, it tracks the soul and claims life, formless and invisible. Void fusion technique, the secret essence of the shadow rule. The performer is formless and invisible, only the space law can break. Spirit sacrifice technique, a variant of the power of faith. It can corrupt with evil spirits, bringing about moral decay and consuming faith. Big Yellow was grinding his teeth at Lin, clearly not in a generous mood to teach, turning each page extremely quickly. Theoretically, at such speed, any ordinary person would be utterly confused and remember nothing. But Lin Zaiasu's heart was pounding so fast. He seemed to step into a bizarre world. In this world there was no talk of righteousness, only of evil. Evil to the extreme, with no law to speak of. All the techniques were harmful, designed in unimaginable ways, employing almost all of the heavenly Tao 7 laws and 300 rules. The 7 laws and 300 rules, originally representing the righteous path of the heavenly Tao, were entirely about harmful matters in this 10,000 laws book. So insidious, it was beyond imagination. What kind of character would Big Yellow be in view of this? Those who are passionate about such harmful arts are of two kinds, one being inherently evil, and the other, like Lin Zaiyasu, whose own nature is debatable, but crucially, he must possess insight into the world's evil deeds and deep knowledge of vicious methods. Big Yellow gave it to him. This was the first reward given to him for nurturing Big Yellow. Oops, why did I say nurturing? As for the second layer of reward, it's not yet apparent. I'll slowly reveal it later. The flying boat had already started, piercing through clouds and fog. Surrounding the flying boat were flowing lights, marvelously bizarre. Chapter 631. Chapter 630. One command, extermination of ancient sect across the territory. Saintess Kaian Ling really wanted to analyze with Lin Zaiyasu whether this was truly a transmission array. However, Lin Zio seemed more interested in the sky, standing on the flying boat's deck, gazing into the distant firmament, his face quite engrossed. He must be contemplating the journey after entering Desert City. Saintess Kaian Ling, being quite perceptive and mindful of the bigger picture, did not disturb him. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Big Yellow finished flipping through the 10,000 Laws book, transformed back into its outline. I have fulfilled my promise. Lin Zaiyasu blinked. Big Yellow, you flipped too fast, I didn't see many words. Does that affect our agreement? Big Yellow asked him directly. That's actually a loophole in our agreement. We didn't specify the speed of flipping through the book. Lin Zaiyasu nodded. All right then, I'll show my stance. I respect everyone has their own aspirations, so I won't send you back to the Qianwang sect. Big Yellow breathed a sigh of relief. Yet Lin Zaiasu's next words followed. I'll first understand the current situation of Qianwang sect. Big Yellow's heartstrings tightened immediately. Lin Zaiyasu drifted out gracefully. Ultimately, he hadn't discussed exiting the time-space river with Big Yellow at all. In truth, there wasn't much to discuss. His exit from the time-space river was based not on space law, but on the labyrinthine positioning of two primordial spirits. Therefore, even if he truly wanted to rescue Big Yellow, he actually couldn't do it. Because his proficiency in space wasn't that high, if he rushed into the time-space river, he would be completely lost. Even getting close to Big Yellow would be impossible. At this moment, the flying boat flashed with silver light, plunging forward toward a high platform. Silently, the flying car landed. Specks of light dispersed. Lin Ziaosu withdrew his gaze from afar, and upon encountering Saintess Kyan Ling, her voice resonated by his ear. Have you figured it out? How to enter the Heart Pavilion? How else but straight ahead? Lin Ziaosu replied. Don't forget I'm a steward of Heart Pavilion. With high rank and authority, you're my concubine. When we enter the pavilion, everyone bows their heads low. Saintess Kyan Ling parted her lips, unsure what to say. Yet she ultimately said nothing. Again emphasizing, I'm your concubine. You cheeky fellow, why do I feel like my reputation won't last a few days staying by you? Never mind, the path is my choice. Even if my spirit's conflicted, I have to walk it, don't I? Stepping off Chunwang Sky Platform. Below is Beijing. Dahuang Country's Beijing, desert city, wondrous phenomena abound. The city is vast and boundless, with 18 wide flat streets crossing each other, a lake within the city that despite being so far away, boats on it can still be seen densely weaving. The northwest, enormous palaces rise up, the tallest rooftops soaring into the clouds. In the southwest, an immense totem column shoots up to the sky, like a stabilizing sea needle on this column, a golden dragon coils shining miles around. This is the most distinctive landmark of the national capital. Every country has one, this column named Ancestral Column, in popular saying, ranges over land its vast kingdom, and the pillar stands for state and the people. The west is the imperial palace and the pillar. To the east, small bridges with flowing water, homes steeped in cultural fragrance. The south, a great river flows with busy cargo transport. The north, a broad avenue wide enough for 10 cars side by side stretches towards an endless expanse. Beneath the Chunwang Sky Platform lies the city center. Lin Ziaosu and Saintess Kyan Ling descended from the platform, instantly merging with the flow of city folk. Raising their gaze, towering buildings loomed. The low wine houses viewed from the high platform now transformed into towering structures. The Heart Pavilion is outside the city in the West Mountain. We need to head there immediately. Immediately, Lin Ziaosu said. With us 5 traveling, 3 perished. Logically, we should be in shock without any thoughts of shopping. Saintess Kyan Ling inhaled deeply. Let's go. The two didn't take a carriage but walked. Their pace was exceptionally brisk, befitting their current cultivation, observing heaven realm. Because Li Chengnian was observing heaven, and his concubine Yan was also observing heaven. Those in the observing heaven realm aren't regarded as masters in this world, but their traveling speed is indeed swift. Half an hour later they exited the western gate, beyond which the guest houses were verdant. Though the season had become summer, wildflowers bloomed on both sides. Behind the wildflowers lay countless private residences. Each residence featured numerous pavilions and towers, occupying substantial ground, with gardens extremely elaborate. Due to perhaps their owners being high-ranking officials of Beijing, or ancient great clans amassed over thousands of years. The Western Mountain was distinct from the outside world. Upon entering the Western Mountain, it was like entering a serene retreat, reassuringly cool to the bone. Rushing along the ancient bluestone path, they arrived halfway up the mountain. Halfway up stood a pavilion, named with one character, Heart. That is the Heart Pavilion. Behind the Heart Pavilion, stone chambers were carved, constituting the main body of the Heart Pavilion. Situated within the outskirts of Beijing, its basic orientation is to resolve doubts for nobility. Rumor has it, no matter what difficulty in the eyes of the Heart Pavilion, it is merely a number. Regular issues, several hundred desert coins. High-end issues, coins in the order of 10,000. No problem is unsolvable, only the payment is unattainable. Such is the Heart Pavilion. Ordinary people are awed by the vast divine skills of Heart Pavilion. Lin Ziaosu admires the strategic orientation of Heart Pavilion. On one hand, it amasses various resources and wealth. On the other hand, by answering queries, it acquires even more resources. What does it mean? An example can make it clear. In Li Chengnian's memory, there was such an incident where he helped a friend in the officialdom settle some trouble. Since then, This friend in the officialdom was firmly under his control. If he had any requests, would this friend dare not to help? Your weaknesses are held in others' hands, and they can take you down at any moment. This is the means of the Heart Pavilion, helping people solve problems, but the trap is not truly dissolved, just the owner of the trap is changed. Over time, the Heart Pavilion took root deeply in Beijing, holding countless disgraceful secrets of officials, and these resources became their weapons to influence the officialdom. The strength of the Heart Pavilion increased day by day. Upon entering the Heart Pavilion, two disciples bowed simultaneously. "Greetings, Steward Li." Lin Ziasu nodded slightly. "Is the chief steward present?" "Present." "Good, I will go see him." Lin Ziasu strode away, directly heading to a stone pavilion. Saintess Qian Ling felt very nervous. She knew nothing about the Heart Pavilion, and if she was asked to speak, she'd probably give herself away in 3 sentences. But he was not nervous at all, and directly went to find the chief steward. How much did Hu Jai know about the Heart Pavilion? Did she tell him everything? Would they give themselves away later? Would a fight break out? If they were exposed, it would be over. There was the presence of primordial spirit chi mechanism in the air around. That was the enlightenment of God. She probed slightly and immediately concealed her primordial spirit as tightly as possible, not daring to expose a bit. Luckily, she was from the Spirit Clan. The Spirit Clan are most adept at evolving all things. She could ensure she was exactly like that Yan's servant at this moment because she had extracted Yan's true chi mechanism. But entering the hall of the chief steward. Chief Steward He Jingteng raised his gaze suddenly, fixing on Lin Ziasu. Lin Ziasu bowed deeply. "Greetings, Chief Steward. What is the outcome of the marriage alliance?" The marriage alliance proceeded smoothly. On the 7th of September, Kinkyu will send the 7th princess to our Li family. Good, the chief steward smiled. Excellent indeed. Lin Ziasu said, but there was an incident on the way back. I dared not delay and switched to the Xuanwang flying boat overnight to report to the chief steward. What happened? At Zhuozhai Lake, we encountered experts from the ancient sect. The 17th elder protecting me unfortunately died in battle, and the other 2 were killed immediately. His voice was filled with infinite sorrow. The chief steward's face suddenly darkened. Ancient sect. Yes. An outer sect dare to be so audacious, the chief steward said. Why did they do this? Lin Ziasu said, the ancient sect also has intentions to form a marriage alliance with Kinkyu. I see, the chief steward said gravely. You arranged to search through the entire domain for people of the ancient sect. Once found, kill without mercy. Yes. The chief steward took a deep breath. Though disturbed by the ancient sect, fortunately, the marriage alliance is still formed. There are people on your family's side to prepare for the wedding. You don't need to worry. Before the marriage is complete, you should keep a low profile and avoid trouble. Once the 7th princess is married, you would have made an exceptional contribution to the sect. Thank you, Chief Steward. Lin Ziasu delighted bowed. The chief steward smiled. Although the Kinkyu Fox clan is naturally open, they are after all an ancient great clan. Some formalities and etiquettes should also be heeded. Set aside your affairs in the city for now to avoid displeasing the Yue family. Yes, Lin Ziasu said. Thank you for the chief steward's reminder. You may leave. I take my leave. Lin Ziasu bowed and withdrew. Saintess Qian Ling followed him out. Lin Ziasu, coming out from the chief steward, stood on the steps and said, Qing Ying. Present, a silhouette seemingly appeared out of nowhere, landing before him. This person was a woman, shrewd and capable in appearance. Each gold medal steward is equipped with a high-level assistant, similar to a modern personal assistant. This Qing Ying is the assistant to gold medal steward Li Chengnian. Lin Ziasu spoke loudly. The chief steward orders a search throughout the southern domain for disciples of the ancient sect. Once found, kill without mercy. Yes. After passing on the order, wait in my pavilion for further instructions. Yes. Qing Ying flew away. The chief steward nodded slightly inside. This Li Chengnian's capability is still commendable. Despite the forceful intervention of an outer sect, he still achieved the marriage alliance with Kinkyu. Most importantly, after this trip to Kinkyu, he's corrected a significant flaw of his own. This steward, from a noble family and with superior learning, previously had a lot of his own ideas. Even when the chief steward gave orders, he always had a bunch of his opinions. Today was very good. Even when directly targeting the outer sect with a kill order, he had no objections and executed directly. This is the kind of subordinate style that the chief steward likes. As a subordinate, one should act like one, without questioning every decision, without always saying, "I think." Superior does not like a long-winded pile of "I think." They prefer simplicity and clarity with a single word: yes. Lin Zaiasu climbed the mountain. In front of the cliff, layers of pavilions. He entered one of the pavilions. This pavilion was Li Chengnian's residence. The Heart Pavilion is a bit different from other sects. The Pavilion Master, Vice Pavilion Master, Chief Steward, and the 8 elders live in caves, while the stewards actually live in the best environments, the pavilions. For example, Steward Li Chengnian has a very nice pavilion. In the courtyard, one could view the scenery of half of West Mountain. If you climbed to the top of the pavilion, you could see most of the desert city in the distance. Generally, people think that the leadership of the Heart Pavilion seems to treat middle management too much like officials. But Lin Zaiasu understands that the true core of the Heart Pavilion lies not in the surface scenery, but in the mountain itself. Inside the mountain are convoluted paths interconnected, together forming the true core circle of the Heart Pavilion. Although he is not truly part of the core circle, he is still top-notch in the steward team. The Heart Pavilion stewards are divided into gold, silver, and copper levels. He, Li Chengnian, is a gold medal steward. Chapter 632, Chapter 631, General Zulong. So, the General Steward order he just issued to the other stewards through Qing Ying went smoothly without any hiccups. Entering the courtyard, the whole place had an elegant air, and 3 maidens bowed to welcome him. "Young master, your journey must have been tiring." Lin Zaiasu nodded lightly and slowly ascended to the top of the pavilion. The maiden carrying a tray of tea wanted to follow, but Saintess Kaian Ling extended her hand and took it. "There's no need to attend." "Yes, miss," the maiden gave a slight bow. The 2 of them went up to the top of the pavilion. Once on the pavilion's top, there was suddenly a sense of quietness. Lin Zaiasu glanced around and saw a water jar placed below the pavilion's window sill. There were 3 lotus flowers in the jar, seemingly just a decoration for the pavilion, but it was actually the array eye. This was a sealing formation, to ensure that the sounds inside wouldn't be heard outside. This was probably what set the Heart Pavilion apart. It mostly dealt with information work, and privacy was its foremost concern. "Can we speak freely?" A threat of Kaian Ling's voice reached his ears. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Although there is a soundproof array here, for the most private matters, better to use voice transmission." Saintess Kaian Ling extended her hand with a cup of tea, handing it to him. Lin Zaiasu took it and casually pulled. Saintess Kaian Ling sat on his lap. She felt completely awkward. "This is the daily posture between Li Chengnian and Yan," Lin Zaiasu said. "Forgive my rudeness, sister." Inside, Saintess Kaian Ling felt like the waters of the spring river, churning with countless waves. "The path you've chosen, you must walk it to the end, even with tears," Saintess Kaian Ling gently exhaled. "Why drag the ancient sect into this?" This was the point of confusion inside her. The 2 of them returned, but that black-bearded elder dragon clan man, Li family steward, became ghosts and couldn't return. There are many explanations for this. Lin Zaiasu chose the most explosive one. The 3 were killed by masters of the ancient sect. "Because for the death of the 3, a definite conclusion is needed," Lin Zaiasu said. "Definite?" "Yes, we could say they were delayed on the road, they disappeared, or their whereabouts are unknown. At this stage, it indeed won't cause big upheavals, but it would become an unresolved case. Heart Pavilion's uniqueness is that they don't allow unresolved cases. If one day an elder has a sudden urge and insists on seeing the living or seeing the corpse, there are ways to recreate the scene from then. In such a case, only a definite answer can prevent it from becoming an unresolved case, thus eliminating the need to use great divine power to recreate the scene of the day." There was a hint of confusion in Saintess Kaian Ling's eyes. "Detective thinking." Lin Zaiasu laughed. "Yes, that's detective thinking. Detective must investigate any uncertainty. And this uncertainty, could not withstand investigation. Therefore, making uncertainty not become uncertainty. The high folk of Heart Pavilion wouldn't need to travel all the way to Zhujiai Lake to investigate this dubious case. As for whether they could capture any clues over the empty water, others might doubt. Lin Zaiasu did not because he himself could do it. If he could do it, does it mean others can't? How could that be possible? The key to his ability in this area is the time law infused into the heavenly Tao wisdom eye. The time law is the foundation. Speaking purely of the time law, he is still quite shallow. He hasn't even formed a time Tao seed, and this world has a path called space-time path. Does he dare to bet that high folk of the space-time path haven't even formed a time Tao seed? Saintess Kyan Ling nodded gently. I don't understand detective thinking, but I admit what you say makes sense. Yet, have you thought about another issue? What kind of waves would this order create? Although the ancient sect is in the distant western divine ruins, and ancient sect disciples aren't many in the southern domain, there are still some. With this black pot lightly tossed, what would they do? They could unknowingly invite a disaster upon themselves. Lin Zaiasu laughed. You should know there are basic rules for the ancient sect. Those who haven't reached the fourth realm can't easily go into the world. Even those roaming outside, even if not in the fourth realm, surely have the power to counter the fourth realm. Is it so easy for Heart Pavilion to kill them? You, Saintess Kyan Ling, was greatly shocked. You're borrowing ancient sect's power to clear Heart Pavilion. Sister, you're really smart. How did you come up with such a good plan? I admire you so much, you're handsome. Oh, you're beautiful and so smart. How can others live? Saintess Kyan Ling was flabbergasted. What you said are all my words. Lin Zaiasu laughed very flamboyantly. With his laughter spreading, Saintess Kyan Ling also had some movement on his lap, and this movement brought friction to their bodies. Saintess Kyan Ling seemed to once again experience the sensation of his true chi stimulation on Lao Mountain, feeling a bit distracted. She wanted to leave, but this rascal said that this was the daily between Yan and him together. To avoid being seen through, it's best not to move randomly. However, not moving seemed to be leading this guy in that direction, so she cleared her mind quickly and changed the topic. Why are you so familiar with Heart Pavilion? Did Hujai really tell you? You are the person I am most familiar with in this world, so I won't lie to you. Lin Zaiasu leaned to her ear. This is the sub-god soul-searching technique. Whatever Li Chengyan knows, I know. Saintess Kyan Ling's entire being stiffened up. My heavens, is the sub-god soul-searching technique really that terrifying? He merely pressed a finger on Li Chengyan's forehead, and in just 10 minutes, all of Li Chengyan's memories were in his head. She wasn't particularly unfamiliar with sub-gods. She even once had a Yuan Shen war with a sub-god master, Venerable Hydra Snake. That sub-god artifact had stayed in her coffin for hundreds of years. She was both unfamiliar and somewhat familiar with it. However, she never expected the sub-divine skill to be so magical. It's even more miraculous than the primordial spirit technique. The primordial spirit technique can devour the opponent's primordial spirit to acquire their memory, but it cannot read the consciousness of an ordinary person without a primordial spirit. Li Chengyan was only observing heaven without a primordial spirit. No matter how strong a primordial spirit master is, they can't obtain his memory except by making him speak. Yet the sub-divine skill can accurately read the consciousness of an ordinary person without a primordial spirit. Those who practice heavenly Tao skill often look down on sub-gods a bit. The key is the name. Sub-god. Many people instinctively feel that a sub-god is inferior to a primordial spirit. Moreover, sub-gods do not belong to the category of heavenly Tao skills, and there's even a widely known saying. The practitioners of sub-gods easily encounter heavenly retribution. Therefore, heavenly Tao cultivators mostly keep a respectful distance from sub-gods. Now it seems, many things truly exist for a reason. Lord Steward, a voice seemed to arise from nowhere. It was Qing Ying's voice. With this voice, Qing Ying appeared in the pavilion. Her movement technique was extremely strange. Even Saintess Kyan Ling could only vaguely sense the sound of wind. With Qing Ying's appearance, Saintess Kyan Ling quickly bounced off Lin Zaiasu's lap. Fortunately, Qing Ying had her head down and didn't see her at all. Lin Zaiasu asked, have the orders been issued? Issued. Dove Window has been activated. Eagle Window is standing by. Dove Window specializes in intelligence reconnaissance. Eagle Window specializes in long-range assassination. Good. Lin Zaiasu nodded lightly, leaning back slightly. What major events have occurred during my absence? Qing Ying responded, the world is ever-changing. Major events happen every day. Does the young master wish to know about a specific one? Related to the imperial prince, Lin Zaiasu replied. Qing Ying said, related to the prince, there's only one major event. which is the matter of General Zulong being imprisoned at the Northwest Jian Platform. The Northwest Jian Platform is the front line between the Dawang country and the Yanyan country. The two countries have been at war for 100 years. General Zulong is the commander of Dawang's elite 300,000-strong border army. His imprisonment was quite shocking. The greatest shock was that he had previously expressed clear support for the seventh prince. Seventh Prince Hong Yun, his mother was merely a Changzai with a low status in the palace, so the seventh prince was not favored. Other princes were conferred as princes with fiefdoms, but he was stationed at the border, and at the most dangerous Northwest Jian platform at that. He guarded the border for 10 years, setting aside his princely status to bond with the warriors. Unexpectedly, this also became his original sin. Court officials painted a negative picture to the emperor, saying this seventh prince, not being favored among the princes, had long harbored different intentions, garnering support from the border army with increasing military power, a trend that must be stopped, or it could become a great threat to the dynasty. Thus the emperor issued a decree, conferred him as King Dingbei, and summoned him back to Beijing. This conferral seemed to shower the seventh prince with royal favor, but in truth, it stripped him of his actual power and effectively placed him under house arrest in the capital. The border generals were naturally displeased, especially General Zulong. General Zulong remained fiercely loyal to the seventh prince after 10 years of campaigns. When the seventh prince returned to the capital, General Zulong was enraged. Later, it was heard from the capital that the seventh prince received no fief. His mansion's provisions were the lowest among the princes, and he couldn't even enter the palace, instead frequenting brothels, spending money to drown his sorrows. General Zulong submitted a memorial to the emperor stating, "If 10 years of guarding the borders cannot earn a prince the proper treatment, then what's the use of guarding the border?" This memorial was maliciously interpreted by court officials as a sign that Zulong intended to rebel. As a result, General Zulong was captured back to Beijing and imprisoned, and the women of his family were sent to the Imperial Music Bureau. The news Qing Ying conveyed shocked Lin Ziaosu greatly. From Li Chengyan's memory, he knew the name of General Zulong, a truly pure commander with no factional biases. When the current crown prince contended with the former crown prince, he attempted to draw Zulong to his side at great cost. But Zulong not only rejected this alliance, but also exposed the evidence, making the current crown prince Hong Ding extremely embarrassed, nearly leading to the collapse of the Eastern Palace's great endeavors. When analyzing this information, Lin Ziaosu had thought this commander could become a leverage point to move Dawang, but who could have expected that just 5 days ago, General Zulong's end had come? Changes within the court truly occur amid such turbulent times. Qing Ying informed Lin Ziaosu of this matter, because the Heart Pavilion high-ups all knew that General Zulong's imprisonment was entirely orchestrated by the crown prince. Why do this? There are 2 reasons. Most people only see the first one. Chapter 633. Chapter 632. The seventh prince ascends the mountain to seek counsel. The primary reason is revenge. When the crown prince was at a crucial point in his ascent, he extended an olive branch to Zulong. Not only did you, a reckless young man, refuse it, but you also turned around and exposed the unspeakable recruitment to the public. So, do you think the crown prince would be furious? Now that the crown prince has gained power, sweeping through the princes with no opposition, his position in the Eastern Palace is as stable as an old dog. If he doesn't target you, who would he? What is the second reason? The emperor is seriously ill, and the crown prince is about to ascend the throne. However, some key figures in the court are fiercely opposing the crown prince's ascension. As long as there's any matter opposing the crown prince, they all vehemently resist. How can the crown prince ascend the throne with peace of mind, without getting rid of these people? Thus, the Heart Pavilion gave the crown prince this idea, to capture General Zulong and use him as bait to lure out those officials. Therefore, the capture of Zulong was a trap set by the upper echelons of the Heart Pavilion for the crown prince, with the true purpose of using him as bait for fishing. Suddenly, Lin Ziaosu's gaze lifted, fixing on the mountain path ahead. On the mountain path, there was a person who looked like a scholar walking over the stone road. His attire was like an ordinary scholar, with a touch of elegance and a hint of recklessness, his steps floating, as if he had indulged in a brothel last night and today still lost in the mist. Many scholars typically visit West Mountain during the height of summer. because West Mountain not only has the Heart Pavilion, but there's also a temple at the top, named Tunneon Temple. Tunneon Temple is ancient, with its history tracing back thousands of years, rich in heritage, numerous high monks and graceful surroundings. During the summer, it's cool and comfortable, a favorite spot for Beijing's nobles to visit for sermons and to admire the eternal masterpieces left on the flowing wall by cultural icons through the ages. Theoretically, it is commonplace for scholars to visit West Mountain. However, as Lin Zaiyasu stared at this scholar, a slight tremor rose in his heart. With the memory obtained from Li Chengnian viewed through his heavenly Tao wisdom eye, this scholar was no scholar. He was the seventh Prince Hong Yun. Lord Steward, why such an expression? Qing Ying paused her situation report. Lin Zaiyasu lifted his teacup, gesturing towards the mountain road. Look who that is. Qing Ying's gaze gathered, initially confused, then suddenly her eyes widened brightly. The seventh prince. He's entering the Heart Pavilion. As Lin Zaiyaasu's words ended, the seventh Prince Hong Yun turned onto the stone path leading to the Heart Pavilion, appearing casual, but Lin Zaiyasu distinctly saw his gaze, which was sharp, possibly a last imprint from 10 years of border battles. A young man came to greet him. This person existed in Li Chengnian's memory, named Grey Curse, an assistant to another gold medal steward, doing the same work as Qing Ying. That gold medal steward was named He Yun, holding an extraordinary status in the Heart Pavilion, known as the Chief Gold Medal. He Steward is receiving the seventh prince. Qing Ying's eyes flickered slightly. Lord Steward, this is very unusual. Indeed, Lin Zaiyaasu's eyes narrowed slightly, reflecting a subtle expression of Li Chengnian's contemplation. Why is He Yun's reception of the seventh prince deemed very unusual? Because ostensibly, the Heart Pavilion does not engage in factional struggles or take political stances, maintaining an impartial posture when dealing with various major factions in Beijing. But this is only on the surface. In fact, the Heart Pavilion had already completely sided with the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince stands against every prince, and for some time now, the Crown Prince has been focusing on suppressing the seventh prince. In such a context, anyone with a bit of political acumen should not be advising the seventh prince. Otherwise, you would be an enemy of the entire upper echelons of the Heart Pavilion. An average, naive young man might not grasp this relationship, handling issues based on substance over individuals, taking on troublesome matters. But He Yun is not naive. He is the chief gold medal. Rumor has it, he is the illegitimate son of that one in the basement. Precisely because of these, although he is in the pavilion department, yet to enter the core inner circle, he is virtually a person with one foot inside the core circle. How could he make such a low-level mistake? At this critical point, associating with such a scrutinized figure like the seventh prince. My lord, what matter could the seventh prince be seeking Heart Pavilion's counsel for? Saintess Qian Ling asked. It must be for Zulong, Lin Zaiyasu replied. To rescue Zulong, he actually resorted to seeking from Heart Pavilion. Qing Ying commented. This might also be one of Heart Pavilion's advantages, seeing many normally glamorous dignitaries making fools of themselves. When she mentioned fools, she was being courteous to the prince. What she really wanted to say was that the seventh prince is a fool. Zulong was captured by the Heart Pavilion in collaboration with the Crown Prince. Even in the joint impeachment of Zulong by those court officials, the Heart Pavilion played a very significant role. Zulong is imprisoned, yet the seventh prince still seeks Heart Pavilion's help for his rescue. Isn't that ironic? Lin Zaiyasu smiled faintly. From his viewpoint, desperate measures in desperation are understandable. Indeed, the seventh prince, having fought at the borders for 10 years, might know nothing about the court situation. About our pavilion, he has likely only heard that we don't engage in factional struggles, nor partake in the Eight Sons, vying for succession. Saintess Qian Ling giggled softly, sending a whispering transmission to Lin Zaiyaasu's ear. I have reason to believe, this time, the seventh prince will suffer a significant setback. Lin Zaiyasu did not reply, simply lifting his teacup, quietly watching the pavilion next door. Inside that pavilion, there was a sealed chamber. The chamber is fully enclosed. No matter how powerful the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, it cannot see through it. The sound is entirely sealed by an array, and he cannot hear. However, as Saintess Qian Ling had said, the seventh prince was likely in trouble. A large portion of missteps in the world arise from desperate measures taken in desperation. the seventh prince wishes to rescue Zulong, and this intention is known throughout the city. Regarding his father emperor, he has little influence, unable to alter the imperial decree. Regarding the court officials, most of them are likely watching the crown prince's demeanor. As a fallen prince, who could he possibly sway? Probably the only place that can help him solve this problem is the Heart Pavilion. This is why he came seeking advice from the Heart Pavilion. His visit to the Heart Pavilion is not surprising. Curiously, the Heart Pavilion's chief gold medal steward met him. This gold medal steward has always been deeply calculative, with unique insights and a high position. In theory, he should clearly see the current situation and stay far away from him. However, He Yun met him. Moreover, he seemed quite proactive. What was the intention? There can only be one. He Yun plans to implement further strategies to achieve their original purpose of capturing Zulong. The goal of capturing Zulong is to eliminate dissent within the court. At this moment, the seventh prince wants to save Zulong. It's just the perfect opportunity to eliminate dissent, for example, the seventh prince's only support in the court. Countless thoughts raced through Lin Ziyasu's mind. The pavilion doors opened over there. The seventh prince gently opened his folding fan and strolled out. At that moment, he seemed to have unlocked some kind of shackle, with a bit of high-spiritedness showing. Lin Ziyasu spoke, "Qing Ying. Here. Go out and intercept him. Bring him to my secret chamber." Qing Ying's heart was suddenly shaken. "Lord Steward, this is against the rules." Heart Pavilion has a customary rule, the first attended reception system. No one else may interfere except superiors. This is out of respect for the Heart Pavilion stewards. Otherwise, it would lead to several stewards giving customers random advice, leaving people at a loss, thereby affecting the authority of Heart Pavilion. And today, the seventh prince was seeking He Yun. He Yun also received as usual. If Lin Ziyasu intervenes, it would be against the rules. Because Lin Ziyasu is not He Yun's superior, his status is even slightly lower than He Yun's. "Where are all these rules coming from?" Lin Ziyasu said. "Do what you're told immediately." "Yes." Qing Ying's figure flickered and exited the pavilion. Lin Ziyasu raised his hand, tapping the pillar beside the coffee table, and a secret chamber door opened. Saintess Qian Ling stood up. "I'll watch the door for you." "All right." Lin Ziyasu entered the secret chamber. He picked up the teapot and teacup on the table. The Heart Pavilion steward's secret chamber is a truly sealed place, array sealed, physically isolated. Lin Ziyasu's hand pressed on the windowsill, and the 5 elements qi turned at his palm. This added another layer to the array's seal. Even high-level array masters would find it impossible to spy through the array. This was Lin Ziyasu's first improvement after entering Li Chengnian's pavilion. The door was softly knocked, and Saintess Qian Ling's voice came through. "My lord, the guest is here." "Please let him in," Lin Ziyasu said. The door opened, and seventh Prince Hong Yun, with a hint of suspicion in his eyes, scrutinized this steward in front of him. Li Chengnian. Li Chengnian, the seventh prince, knew him. He also counts as one of Beijing's elites. His name is marked in 3 places. Firstly, he is a scion of the Li family in Hezai, a 1,000-year-old family with rich heritage. Secondly, Li Chengnian is known for his dalliance with poetry and wine, a celebrated person in Beijing. Thirdly, he entered Heart Pavilion with considerable strategy. If only these 3 labels were attached, the seventh prince would be eager to meet Li Chengnian. However, Li Chengnian carried a 4th label, which is, his Li family has consistently flattered the crown prince. Therefore, the seventh prince harbored deep caution towards Li Chengnian. "Your Highness, please come in." Lin Ziyasu stood up and bowed slightly. With these 4 words, he directly lifted the scholar's veil off the seventh prince, clarifying his identity. The seventh prince, experienced in numerous battles, maintained a rather steadfast mindset. Since his identity was revealed, he didn't pretend, stepping in boldly. "Heard that Lord Li traveled far to Kinkyu for marriage proposals. When are you coming back?" Lin Ziyasu smiled slightly. The marriage proposal succeeded, so naturally returned, just arrived recently. "Congratulations." The seventh prince clasped his hands gently. "Your Highness, please sit." Lin Ziyasu's hand dropped lightly. The secret chamber door closed quietly. The room suddenly turned dark. The candlelight flickered with the breeze from the closing, and then returned to calm. Under the candlelight, the seventh prince slowly sat down, his gaze slowly lifted. Today I originally didn't plan to visit Lord Li. Indeed, Lin Zaiasu said, it was I who proactively paid respects to your highness. It's known to everyone that I am a leisurely prince in Beijing, with no power, no influence, and no wealth. Lord Li's active visit took me by surprise. This statement carried a sense of indifference. These words were also sincere. There are many people in the world who seek favor and many who choose safety, often befriending others with ulterior motives. Some seek fame, some seek profits, some seek protection, some seek a future. Yet on him, none of these can be found. He has no power, influence, or wealth. Being close to him might even provoke the crown prince, who is at the peak of power, inviting unforeseen disasters. Thus, he indeed couldn't understand why this Lord Li is proactively visiting him. No power, no influence, no wealth, but your highness carries an unresolved concern in your heart. Lin Zaiasu extended his hand, offering a cup of tea to him personally. Chapter 634, Chapter 633, Night Entry into the Heart Pavilion's Kangshu Pavilion. The seventh prince took the cup of tea and slowly lifted his gaze. Lord Li, are you referring to? Warrior Lion trapped in the heavenly prison, comrades, families, all entering the Imperial Music Bureau. Your Highness, can you bear to watch? Aren't you afraid of chilling the hearts of the 300,000 troops in the border town? The seventh prince gently swirled the cup of tea in his hand. In just a few short sentences, everything struck deep into his chest. What Lin Zaiasu said was exactly what he was thinking. General Zulong had fought bravely on the battlefield for 40 years, defending the country with unparalleled iron will, only to suffer dire misfortune because of this seventh prince. If he couldn't save him, how could Hong Yun call himself human? Wouldn't the 300,000 border soldiers feel chilled? Where does the righteousness stand? Therefore, even amidst countless challenges, he must ensure Zulong's safety. Lord Li, what do you mean? The seventh prince's mind was stirred, yet he maintained his composure. I want to help you, Lin Zaiasu said. This was to reveal his intentions. However, the seventh prince slowly lifted his gaze. Thank you for your kindness, but there is no need for the trouble. This matter need not concern you or me. My father has his own judgment. Perhaps there might be a turn of events. Lin Zaiasu laughed. The turnaround you mention, your highness, isn't your father's judgment, but rather He Yun's scheme, isn't it? The seventh prince's expression subtly darkened. What do you mean, Lord Li? Lin Zaiasu said, we currently lack trust between us, so even one extra word is too much. I don't require any answer from your highness, I'll say it, and your highness just listens. The seventh prince slowly nodded. Please, my lord. Lin Zaiasu said, your highness entered the Heart Pavilion today, seeking He Yun. That was a wrong move, extremely dangerous. The seventh prince, adhering to what Lin Zaiasu just said, didn't give any response, only sipped his tea. Lin Zaiasu said, He Yun's suggestion, let me boldly guess, is to ask Master Song, the minister of the Ministry of Justice, to carry out a prisoner exchange. The seventh prince suddenly became completely rigid. He didn't reveal any trace, but his demeanor was as clear as ink on paper in Lin Zaiasu's eyes. Indeed, this was the method. What a vicious He Yun. Lin Zaiasu said, Zulong already lost 99% of his life, his body fallen into the abyss, beyond salvation. The prisoner exchange seems to offer a ray of hope, but your highness, do you realize this glimpse of hope is actually a sinister trap for Song's layout by others? The seventh prince slowly opened his eyes, staring at Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu said, Your highness, you need to accept a reality that Zulong has fallen into the heavenly prison. He's long gone from the chessboard, no longer a target. His only value is as bait to cleanse the court. If you can't let go, today's schemes will trap you repeatedly, until in the Dahuang court, those loyal ministers and generals all fall to their deaths. The seventh prince still didn't speak, but his back naturally turned cold. Here's a suggestion, Lin Zaiasu said, play along with their tune. The seventh prince took a deep breath and finally spoke, play along with their tune. His voice was hoarse. Yes, didn't he suggest you exchange prisoners? Then show him you can, but... Lin Zaiasu's voice lowered. The seventh prince's eyes slowly brightened. Even if it fails, at least it's harmless. What does your highness think? Lin Zaiasu said. The seventh prince gently closed his eyes, then slowly opened them. Lord Li, why? Why do such a thing? I've asked you many questions you haven't answered. This question I won't answer either, Lin Zaiasu said. Still, After a few days, when you truly find Mr. Lee worthy of your trust, we can continue today's conversation. How about that? Today, farewell. The seventh prince stood up. Good passage, your highness. Lin Zaiyasu rose to send him off. The seventh prince walked down the pavilion. Lin Zaiasu's gaze moved to the adjacent pavilion. There was no one in the adjacent pavilion. However, under his heavenly Tao wisdom eye, he clearly saw He Yun and his gray curse companion in a dim room, far from the window, invisible to ordinary eyes. Unable to see the mysterious expression on his face. Lord Steward, the gray curse said, this Steward Lee is overstepping. He Yun smiled faintly, without answering. The gray curse said that he dared to interfere with the task Lord Steward accepted, who gave him the courage, just because. He recently completed the alliance with Kinkyu. He thinks he has a shot at entering the cave. Good thing, He Yun lightly smiled. Good thing, the gray curse frowned. Isn't that an insult to the Lord? Why would? He Yun said, Gray curse, you have been with me for some time. You should understand that everything in this world has a price except dignity and face. That's worthless. Don't just see the moment, look at the result. Understand. The gray curse seemed to understand, yet not understand. In Lin Zaiasu's pavilion, he also had a conversation with Saintess Qian Ling. Saintess Qian Ling reminded him, this He Yun already sees you as an enemy. What will happen? Lin Zaiasu asked in 3 words. In those 3 words, Saintess Qian Ling suddenly fell silent. She suddenly realized the real reason Lin Zaiasu disregarded the rules. Because he was indeed not Li Chengnian. The shackles imposed on Li Chengnian could never bind him. Others must consider every aspect in their actions, but what does he need to concern? The entire world is his enemy. As long as he isn't dead, he doesn't care who dies. Does he still fear the crown prince targeting the Li family? Would he still fear the entire Heart Pavilion targeting the Li family? This situation doesn't concern him. He's indifferent whether this world is flooded. In the time that followed, Lin Zaiasu was quite relaxed at the Heart Pavilion. With the steps of an educated gentleman, he entered the Kanshu Pavilion, where, with his clearance, he could view all records below the 3rd level. Flipping through here, glancing there, seemingly careless. The crowd paid it no mind. Occasionally, when encountering stewards of the same rank, they would jest with each other, mostly drawing from Kinkyu family affairs, fully displaying the pretentiousness of scholars, until 2 days later, an elder descended from the 3rd floor. The moment this elder appeared, everyone around fell silent. All the stewards bowed, addressing him as pavilion master. The old pavilion master nodded to them, and under the escort of a large group, left the pavilion and entered his secret chamber. Late at night, the pavilion master appeared again in the Kanshu Pavilion, reaching the 3rd floor entrance. At the 1st floor portal, someone stood guard. The 2nd floor portal had no guard. The steward token could activate the array to open it. The 3rd floor portal could not be accessed with just the steward token. It required the pavilion master order to open. The pavilion master held a token to activate this array and entered the 3rd floor. Inside the 3rd floor, an elder bowed to greet him. Pavilion master, what kind of information do you wish to consult? Go guard outside, the pavilion master ordered. Yes. The elder went outside. The pavilion master's eyes suddenly became calm and serene. The expression in his eyes revealed that Lin had done something extraordinary. He disguised himself as the pavilion master, forged the pavilion master order, and used his proficiency in arrays to unlock the most confidential 3rd floor of the Heart Pavilion. The information on the 3rd floor was indeed extraordinary. Lin Zaiasu's heart was filled with tremendous excitement. He had a strong interest in this information, but he restrained himself. Because beneath the time-space reversal, there was something even more indispensable, and that was a secret chamber set within the 3rd floor. He pointed his finger at the spot where the pavilion master once did, but he couldn't open the secret chamber. His mind shifted, subdivine skill. As soon as the subdivine skill was employed, the dark gate activated silently. My God, it takes reaching level 30 in the subdivine skill to open this door. The secrets inside must be extremely high level. Sure enough, after entering the secret chamber, upon opening the 1st volume of information, his heart rate quickened. Human Tao Orchid Heart operated at full capacity. It took about 3 minutes to finish the 1st volume. Then the 2nd volume, 2 minutes. The 3rd volume. Such rapid browsing was unfathomable to ordinary people, yet Lin Zaiasu felt it was still too slow. His true chi circulated, causing two books to rise simultaneously, his heavenly Tao primordial spirit decoding them in sync, doubling the speed. Time ticked by, minute by minute. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Finally, before dawn, he finished all the information inside. He exited the secret chamber. Arrived at the third-floor exit. Today's events of my presence here must not be mentioned to anyone, Lin Zaiasu ordered the elder. Yes. Lin Zaiasu left the pavilion. In most places, such an order would arouse suspicion, but in the Heart Pavilion it was quite normal. Because the Heart Pavilion is a place of cunning minds, where everyone plays games of wit. The elder guarding the pavilion had come to develop a fixed mindset over the years. Only the pavilion master order can open the third floor, and the information inside the third floor is partially true and partially false, offering little real value. The truly valuable things, only the two pavilion masters know their whereabouts and how to access them. Therefore, it was believed that no one would steal the information. Outside the Kanshu Pavilion, there are arrays. The Heart Pavilion has arrays everywhere. For ordinary people, this undoubtedly increases the difficulty of acting freely, but for Lin Zaiasu, it serves as the best cover. Although his cultivation was just average, when it came to spy skills, his level was disruptive in this world. After all, in this world, systematic espionage theory does not exist. He became the pavilion master and transformed back to Lin Zaiasu, all without being detected. Half an hour later, he returned to the room. Opening the door, he was shocked to see a beauty lying on the bed. Saintess Qian Ling disguised as Yan. Upon sensing his arrival, Saintess Qian Ling sprang up. Where have you been? Lin Zaiasu hesitated slightly. Saintess Qian Ling's eyes twinkled. Is it that someone is also monitoring outside at this time, and you need to put on a show with Yan on the bed to conform to daily behavior? Lin Zaiasu cast her a sidelong glance. If I said yes, would you really cooperate with me in this act? Of course not, but I can conclude from this that you've had ulterior motives all along. All right, stop teasing. Lin Zaiasu sat down by the bed. I found out some news about the Spirit Clan. Upon these words, Saintess Qian Ling's expression changed. News about the Spirit Clan. The Spirit Clan, far away in the Spirit Ruins. Truly 1,000,000 miles away from here. Originally, upon entering the ancient wilderness, she was supposed to return to the ancestral land, but she couldn't let go of him. At the same time, as she said, being near one's homeland only deepens apprehension. She dared not ask anyone. The span of 1,000,000 years is unimaginably long. The rise and fall of clans is just a tiny ripple in the river of time, nothing surprising at all. She was worried the news would be that the Spirit Clan had perished, that the Spirit Clan had long become a mere relic of history. Thus, she did not immediately embark on the journey back to the Spirit Ruins. She hoped to first learn about the Spirit Clan's current status from the Heart Pavilion. And now the news has come. Chapter 635. Chapter 634. The Substitution Plan and the Great Prisoner Swap. Speak. These two words were said with extreme caution by Saintess Qian Ling. There's good news, the Spirit Clan still exists. Saintess Qian Ling exhaled lightly. But there's also bad news, Lin Zaiasu said. There is a plan against the Spirit Clan, which has been underway for a millennium, and the Spirit Clan has been completely transformed. Saintess Qian Ling's heart pounded. What plan? The replacement plan, Lin Zaiasu said. This is an extremely vicious plan and incredibly secretive. The replacement plan, as the name suggests, is about replacing a race. How to replace? A malicious method, making sure all children born to the Spirit Clan over this millennium are implanted with demon cores, meaning this generation of children are all spirit-skinned but demon-hearted. This way, the new generation of the Spirit Clan is essentially the Demon Clan. Saintess Qian Ling was shocked. Who implemented such a sinister plan? Lin Zaiasu sighed. I discovered this plan in the top-secret archives of the Heart Pavilion. Who do you think planned it? The Heart Pavilion. A sharp light shone in the eyes of Saintess Qian Ling. Don't overestimate the Heart Pavilion. It's just a gate of the mental path. Yes, a small pavilion is not enough to extend its reach to the Spirit Ruins, Saintess Qian Ling said. Is it the mental path or unorthodox methods? Unorthodox methods planned it, and the demon sect cooperated. Unorthodox methods. One of the 6 paths, a gigantic entity. The demon sect, one of the 9 gates, is also a gigantic entity. Saintess Kyan Ling said, "How did they do it? Are there detailed records?" "The records are not clear. I can only tell you one crucial point: spiritual spring." Spiritual spring, holy spring. Saintess Kyan Ling took a deep breath. They actually dared to target the holy spring. However, it's quite inconceivable. The holy spring has a spring spirit. Any foreign object entering the holy spring would be erased, especially the demonic energy, which is utterly opposite to spiritual energy in nature. The holy spring is extremely sensitive to demonic energy. How did they use the spiritual spring to implant demon seeds in the spirit clan? I believe in the holy spring spirituality, but you must also believe that there are many bizarre harmful methods in the world, each defying logic, revealing the truth in impossibilities, which is precisely the unorthodox method's forte. "Little Sue, I must return to the spirit clan," Saintess Kyan Ling said slowly. "I told you this news precisely to urge your return to the clan," Lin Ziasu said. "But what about you?" Saintess Kyan Ling said. "From now on, you'll truly become a lonely stranger in a dark, sunless otherworld. Hurt, you'll lick your wounds alone, cry, and no one will see your tears." Her voice was filled with strong sadness. Lin Ziasu smiled lightly. "Then I'll try not to hurt, not to cry." Saintess Kyan Ling gently turned her body, sending herself into his embrace. Her hands clasped together, holding tightly. Lin Ziasu also gently embraced her waist. "For a long, long time. The tune, Yesterday's Fragrance, you played in Kinkyu, I once listened to it on repeat for a whole day and night. I always found it ironic," Saintess Kyan Ling said softly. "Ironic?" You could sense irony. "Yes, 2 lonely souls endlessly circling on the reincarnation road. I can smell your floral scent from yesterday on the Ney Bridge. So it goes, round, and I naively thought at the time, aren't these 2 people foolish? Knowing they are going in circles, knowing they'll never catch up with the figure ahead, why don't they stop? If one stopped and the second person collided with them from behind, wouldn't they meet?" Yes, speaking from a circle theory, endlessly rushing on a circular track, hoping to catch up with each other seems foolish, but if they stopped, they wouldn't be themselves anymore. So the chase is not about the figure, but about a steadfastness of the heart. Now you understand. When a person is beyond the mortal realm, all worldly matters are like floating clouds. When one enters the mortal realm, floating clouds also become significant. Saintess Kyan Ling sighed lightly. "I once naively thought I could escape the boundless mortal world, considering worldly matters as floating clouds. But today I realized I also have concerns in my heart. I'm worried about my clan members who may already have no relatives, even across thousands of miles. I must depart today, and you. Of course, you too will travel thousands of miles tirelessly without regret for your loved ones and clan. Kyan Ling, that day by Tashan Lake, you promised to stay by my side." Lin Ziasu said, "Today you embark on a journey. I also have something to send you off with. Having weathered the snow together in this life, does that count as growing old together? Is it this phrase? Not that showy today, I'll tell you something quite plain," Lin Ziasu said. "When my side of the game concludes, I'll come to your place and accompany you for a while." Saintess Kyan Ling lightly hooked her hand around his neck, her lips softly shifting, full and rich, intimately connecting with Lin Ziasu's lips. Lin Ziasu was stunned. What was that? Western etiquette. Western etiquette includes a habit of face touching, but that's the face, not the lips. And certainly not pushing open the lips with a tongue, then entwining. For a long time they separated. Saintess Kyan Ling smiled gently. "Sometimes in this world, a reason is needed. From your perspective, I can't find a reason I must go see you, so I give you one. As long as you come, I'll prepare a meal for you and serve you." Her hand loosened gently, and she left the bedroom. Then she exited the Heart Pavilion. Without looking back, Lin Ziasu stood by the window, watching her leave. Her scent still lingered on his lips. According to the story's progression, they hadn't reached this point yet. But man proposes, God disposes. Saintess Kyan Ling must go because new demon seeds are born every day. Every day the foundation of the spirit clan is being destroyed. She cannot watch as the ancient great clan left by the ancestors is swallowed by the demon clan. She cannot watch as the most hated demon clan gradually replaces the new generation in the clan. She must go back, as fast as possible. Upon her return, she faces a battle for the survival of the spirit clan. And Lin Ziasu will also face the clouds and winds of the otherworld alone. The two people who promise to stay with each other are destined not to be able to accompany each other. Then give each other a reason, hoping to meet again in the vast sea of people. This kiss is the reason. The past night has not only witnessed this significant event. Another significant event occurred in the heavenly prison. Minister of the Ministry of Justice, Song Lifu, was inspecting the heavenly prison. The Ministry of Justice is the direct supervisor of the heavenly prison. With the superior coming for inspection, prison director, Sun Chang, naturally became enthusiastic and attentive, accompanying him everywhere until reaching the separate detention area of Zulong. Song Lifu gently sighed. All of you step back, I want to see Zulong. Yes, prison director Sun Chang and other officials stayed outside. Song Lifu and his guard commander went to the detention area of Zulong. This guard commander was dressed in the standard attire of the great wilderness country's guard commander, wearing battle clothes and a half-face mask, covering the majority of his face. About 2 hours later, Song Lifu came out of the heavenly prison, walking under the dim light. Everything is normal after my inspection. Fellow colleagues, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your hard work, Master. Sun Chang and his colleagues bowed simultaneously. I will return to the mansion. Farewell, Master. Song Lifu left with the guard commander. Sun Chang watched the leaving steps of the guard commander, and a mysterious smile slowly appeared on his face. This guard commander, when leaving the heavenly prison, walked in the shadows the whole time and never showed his front side to them. As he departed, his left leg seemed to have an old injury. He winked towards the darkness. The sound of wind moved within it, merging into the night. He himself turned around and strode towards the heavenly prison. Arriving at the separate detention room of Zulong, he stared at the person curled up on the pile of grass inside and ordered in a deep voice, "Go in and check." A jailer opened Zulong's detention room, stretched out his hand, and grabbed Zulong lying on the grass. Zulong remained silent, eyes tightly shut, but his expression clearly showed panic. His chin faintly had traces of blood. His beard was messy, with several strands revealing flaws. Pull off his beard. Sun Chang's sharp eyes were extremely discerning. The jailer reached out, grabbed his beard, and without much effort the beard was pulled down. Everyone was shocked simultaneously. Prisoner switch. How dare Master Song do such a thing? This is a major problem, Master Sun. We must report to your Majesty immediately. Indeed, how can a dignified official of the court dare to switch prisoners where is national law? Left prison director shouted. Master, we must pursue Zulong immediately, lest this scoundrel truly escapes. Sun Chang's face revealed a sinister smile. No hurry, let's see which mansion Master Song will send him to. With a flick of his sleeve, he strode out of the heavenly prison. Half an hour later, a person emerged from the darkness, bent over and whispered a sentence in Sun Chang's ear, and Sun Chang's eyes lit up brightly. Great news, notify Crown Prince. The night deepened. Your Majesty rose from the dragon bed. This was his habit. He felt fuzzy during the day and clear at night, this day-night inversion ailment. Just after waking up, the chief eunuch urgently reported, Your Majesty, Prime Minister Chen Zhengdao and Left Grand Master, Lord Zhou request an audience. Granted, Your Majesty said. The two officials entered, knelt down. Lord Zhou, he reported. Your Majesty, an extremely serious incident happened in the heavenly prison today. As a humble minister, I dare not delay for a moment, even at night. I deeply worry about alarming Your Majesty. I deserve death for such a crime. What is the matter, my dear minister? Speak freely. Yes, Zhou, he continued. Your Majesty, just 3/4 of an hour ago, Minister of the Ministry of Justice, Master Song, inspected the heavenly prison and used his guard commander to switch Zulong, executing a prisoner switch. Your Majesty's face suddenly sank. Prisoner switch. Indeed. Your Majesty slowly inquired, where is Zulong currently? Song Lifu personally escorted him into Prince Dingbei Mansion. Prince Dingbei Mansion. Sure enough, it's this rebellious son. You really think the dynasty's laws are child's play? Are you really unwilling to let go of that utterly ridiculous military camaraderie? Your Majesty's fury surged. Huo Gang. Yes. Behind him, a robust man stepped forward. This is commander of the Forbidden Army, Huo Gang, possessing the innate divine demon body, with such majestic demeanor capable of ruling a nation. Deploy the Forbidden Army, surround Prince Dingbei Mansion. Not even a fly is allowed to get out. Bring 7th Prince Hong Yun, Minister of the Ministry of Justice Song Lifu to the heavenly prison. I want to personally inspect and personally judge. As ordered, Hu Gang turned and left the hall. Prime Minister Chen Zhengdao and left Grand Master Zhou He's hearts raced. Your Majesty is actually personally leaving the palace. It seems that this matter has truly touched your Majesty's reverse scale. Very well, very good. Minister of the Ministry of Justice Song Lifu, you stubborn old man, let's see how you escape tonight. Chapter 636, Chapter 635, False Prisoner Swap. Prepare the dragon carriage, enter the heavenly prison. As soon as these 6 words from His Majesty were uttered, there was a soft roar. Behind the imperial palace, 8 dragon horses soared into the sky, pulling a heavenly surveyor's chariot and landing outside the hall. His Majesty, taking the Prime Minister and the left Grand Master, strode away. Alongside the dragon horses, 8 guards simultaneously bowed, "Please board the vessel, Your Majesty." With a gloomy face, His Majesty boarded the dragon carriage and stood at the highest point. The Prime Minister and the left Grand Master also boarded the vessel, standing below him. The dragon carriage in the night sky radiated a brilliant light, sweeping over half the city and landing at the heavenly prison. As soon as the prison director Sun Chang saw the dragon carriage in the sky, he hurried to greet it, kneeling with a thud. Prison director Sun Chang, leading all officials above the 4th rank of the heavenly prison, humbly welcomes Your Majesty. Thud. All the officials knelt together. Swish. All soldiers held their guns in salute. His Majesty on the dragon carriage descended step by step to stand before Sun Chang. Inside, Sun Chang's excitement surged. Your Majesty, I have already investigated thoroughly, and the evidence of Song Lifu's prisoner exchange is irrefutable. Would Your Majesty like to see for yourself? His Majesty's gaze slowly lifted, staring at the passage of the heavenly prison. The whole place was silent. In the still night, footsteps arose. It was the marching of the Forbidden Army. Soon, a large group of soldiers escorted 2 individuals before His Majesty. The Minister of the Ministry of Justice, Song Lifu, was full of confusion on his face. The 7th Prince Hong Yun also had a look of doubt. This humble servant pays respects to Your Majesty. Song Lifu knelt below the steps. This son pays respects to Father Emperor. The 7th Prince Hong Yun also knelt. Do you know your crimes? His Majesty's voice was deep, yet carried an immense pressure. Song Lifu said, this humble servant was normally off duty and on the way home, when inexplicably apprehended by the Forbidden Army. Truly, I do not know what crime I have committed. I hope Your Majesty will enlighten me. The 7th Prince Hong Yun said, Father Emperor, I likewise do not know what crime I have committed. Please enlighten me as well. Enlighten you? Very well, I shall enlighten the both of you. His Majesty's body gradually leaned forward. You 2 have exchanged prisoners in the heavenly prison. Ignoring national laws, the matter has already come to light. Each word of the final sentence was pronounced heavily. Song Lifu suddenly lifted his head, an elderly face full of astonishment. Your Majesty, I am wronged. As the Minister of the Ministry of Justice, how could I not know that heavy criminals in the heavenly prison must not be exchanged due to personal relations? How dare I exchange prisoners in the heavenly prison? You wouldn't dare, the Prime Minister stepped forward. There are eyewitnesses and material evidence, and you still dare to argue. Song Lifu was furious. The Prime Minister has learned to smear people out of thin air. As you say, I exchanged prisoners who were exchanged. Where is the evidence? Master Sun, tell him. The Prime Minister gestured towards Sun Chang. Sun Chang spoke. Your Majesty, I personally witnessed Master Song, under the pretext of inspecting the heavenly prison, dismissing everyone around, and replaced Zulong in the heavenly prison with his own personal guards. I sent someone to follow them, and personally saw Master Song send the criminal Zulong to the Prince Dingbei mansion, where the deputy guard leader Gu De is currently standing guard outside Zulong's room. Nonsense, Song Lifu was furious. Sun Chang, you dare to slander your superior and frame the prince. You seek death. Impudent, the Prime Minister stepped forward. Song Lifu, you violated national laws first, yet still dare to act condescendingly towards the loyal Master Sun. Prime Minister, as the Prime Minister, you do not discern right from wrong. Slandering a subordinate is minor, but framing a prince is severe. Silence, His Majesty spat out 2 words, silencing the entire place. Song Lifu slowly raised his head. Your Majesty, Sun Chang falsely accuses me of exchanging prisoners, and the Prime Minister uses his position to suppress me, wishing me to yield. I am unable to defend myself and hope your majesty will see for yourself to correct this. His majesty's gaze slowly rose. Sun Chang, this humble servant is here. Lead the way ahead. By your command. His majesty personally entered the heavenly prison. Inside, guards on both sides knelt down simultaneously, while his majesty, with a somber face, walked through the long corridor. Ahead was a cell, and outside the cell was a plaque marked with the character, Heaven. This was the highest level, Heaven prison in the heavenly prison. It was specifically used to detain major rebels. Zulong, as the commander of 300,000 troops and a cultivation expert, naturally justified being at this highest level. When His Majesty arrived in front of the cell, the prisoner inside was curling up, lying in the straw. His Majesty lightly raised a hand, and 2 imperial guards opened the cell. They lifted the person on the ground, raised his head. This person's face was a mess, entirely obscured, but it was visible that his beard was fake. It looked like Zulong's signature circle of facial hair, but this beard was matted with blood and half had already been torn off. "Who are you? Confess truthfully," Sun Chang demanded. The person kept his eyes closed, saying nothing. "Before His Majesty, confess immediately," the Imperial Guard commanded. The person's eyes suddenly opened. When these eyes opened, they shot cold light, a unique aura from the battlefield spreading around. His Majesty was suddenly startled. The Prime Minister was also suddenly startled. This was clearly Zulong. Others might only remember Zulong for his ring of facial hair, but the Emperor himself had a keen feeling for his eyes. The day he dispatched him to guard the Northwest Jian platform, seeing those eyes, His Majesty felt a deep confidence in him. Perhaps this was a unique way for an emperor to view people, by their eyes. At this moment, this supposed impostor labeled as exchanged was actually the real one. "Zulong," Song Lifu spoke, "a villain has reported to His Majesty, falsely accusing me of exchanging you from the heavenly prison. Why not truthfully inform His Majesty whether this is slander?" "Prisoner exchange," Zulong laughed heartily. "Would they tarnish my master Song's clear reputation with the wrecked body of Zulong? Tarnishing my lifelong reputation is trivial, but the villain harbors greater ambitions, intending to place the 7th prince in peril. Therefore, Zulong, you need to prove you are yourself," Song Lifu said coldly. "A criminal proving himself to be himself. That's simple." Zulong's body shook, and his clothes split into pieces, revealing his chest and back, covered with scars. "Your Majesty, the injury to my elixir field was inflicted by an assassin when Your Majesty inspected the Jiangzuo camp. Your Majesty personally touched the scar back then, praising my loyalty as a model for the military. I wonder if this penetrative sword wound can prove I am myself." Your Majesty's face was livid. This is General Zulong's self-vindication. And how is this not General Zulong's sanguine lament? On that day, during Your Majesty's inspection of Jiangzuo, you were suddenly ambushed by assassins. The assassins were extremely insidious, setting up a deceptive formation that shielded against the Imperial Seal's might and blocked the army's aid, luring away the masters beside Your Majesty to deliver a fatal strike. It was General Zulong who bravely risked his life, fighting desperately, that held on until reinforcements arrived. In that battle, General Zulong's elixir field and Qi Si were pierced by a sword, crippling his cultivation. Yet Your Majesty personally arranged for the Tangxiang Duangsu technique to restore his elixir field and Qi Si. General Zulong now brings up the past. To Your Majesty's ears, it has taken on a completely different tone. He clearly felt General Zulong's anger. The one who risked his life, and has merits in saving the Emperor, is now locked in the heavenly prison. Your Majesty's gaze slowly lifted. Everyone around was trembling in fear. Prime Minister Chen Zhengdao's heart was pounding wildly. The left Grand Master Zhou, he furrowed his brows tightly. "What is happening?" Sun Chang asserted confidently that Song Lifu had already swapped the prisoner, but now, clearly, it's still General Zulong in the cell. When was there ever a swap? If General Zulong is still here, the trouble is immense. Sun Chang knelt down with a thud, banging his head on the ground desperately. "Your Majesty, this person's beard is a pasted-on fake beard. He must be an impostor. I hope Your Majesty will not be deceived by him." The Prime Minister stepped forward. "Indeed, when something abnormal happens, there must be something suspicious. You should explain why you pasted on a fake beard. Was it perhaps to maliciously mock His Majesty?" Has Prime Minister ever read the ritual scripture? General Zulong said. The body, hair, and skin are received from one's parents. Imprisoned because of my parents, I plucked my beard to show my suffering with them. Is it right or wrong? The Prime Minister took a deep breath. But why did you paste each hair back on if not to maliciously mislead? For the dignity of the court, that is all. The dignity of the court. General Zulong plucked his beard because he was helpless in facing his parents being imprisoned, resorting only to this method to share in their suffering. However, if this plucking of the beard were discovered by the people of Beijing, it would surely cause a stir, attracting public empathy for his tragic act and questioning the court's wisdom. Therefore, the cut beard was reattached to preserve the court's dignity. If one indicates filial piety, the other represents loyalty. Farce of plucking and attaching the beard reflects General Zulong's balance of loyalty and filial piety. The Prime Minister was left speechless. Zhou He's back was drenched with sweat. Sun Chang was trembling all over, vaguely feeling that he had fallen into a trap. He had preconceived the notion that Song Lifu would enter the heavenly prison today to carry out a grand scheme of prisoner exchange. Every detail of Song Lifu seemed like the prisoner exchange. As soon as he left, Sun Chang began the inspection, and upon plucking off the beard, he was fully convinced, after all, he wasn't well acquainted with General Zulong. General Zulong remained silent, eyes unopened, muddy-faced, and the beard removal made him look completely different from usual, yet it happened to be him. He was utterly convinced that this was a counterplot by General Zulong and Song Lifu, but now, in front of your majesty, the situation had escalated so much. What will happen to him? Framing a superior, framing a prince, an unforgivable sin, your majesty said in a deep voice. Men present, strike this evil criminal to death on the spot. Your majesty, Sun Chang screamed. Bang! Wooden staff came slamming down on Sun Chang's head. Sun Chang's head was utterly smashed. Even his upper body turned into minced meat. Thud! The Prime Minister and the left Grand Master knelt simultaneously. Their faces were splattered with his brain matter, and they didn't dare wipe it. The Prime Minister's voice trembled. Your Majesty, this old subject was negligent, blindly believing in the report of the traitorous son, startling your Majesty in the dead of night, deserving 1,000 deaths. I plead for your Majesty's punishment. This old subject was blinded by poor sight, mistakenly believing the words of a traitor, disturbing your Majesty. It's a grave sin. I plead for your Majesty's punishment. Zhou He also said. Your Majesty's gaze slowly rose, fixing firmly on Song Lifu, Song aching. Your humble servant is here. Do not let today's incident weigh on your heart. After all, the Prime Minister and the left Grand Master were merely deceived by a treacherous person, and their accusation against you was just them fulfilling their duty. I dare not, Song Lifu said. Your Majesty nodded slightly and strode out of the heavenly prison. Your Majesty, please return. The dragon horse took to the sky, returning to the imperial palace. The Prime Minister, left Grand Master, Song Lifu, and the 7th Prince left the heavenly prison simultaneously. It was already approaching the Chu hour. The Prime Minister smiled as he walked towards Song Lifu. Master Song, today's events were all misunderstandings. Please do not hold grudges. I wouldn't dare, Song Lifu said. Given the urgent report in such a dire matter, how could the Prime Minister as the chief assistant not submit it overnight? Instead of harboring resentment, I deeply respect your diligence for the nation. Master Song, I take my leave now. To both masters, have a safe trip. Song Lifu bowed to bid farewell. Both masters climbed onto their official sedan chairs and returned to their respective residences. The 7th Prince retracted his gaze from afar and turned to Song Lifu. It's quite awkward now. The duty shift is too early, and I suppose Master Song cannot sleep even if returning to rest. Why not come to my mansion for a visit? That sounds good. The sedan chairs headed straight to Prince Dingbei Mansion. Chapter 637, Chapter 636, Journeying with the Prince. As they entered the Prince Mansion, the guard leader stepped forward, while on the other side of the guest room, the deputy leader and a few others were filled with trepidation. This man's name was Gu Da, and tonight the burden on his shoulders was heavy. He was responsible for guarding this guest room because the notorious criminal Zulong, released from the heavenly prison, was inside. This was evidence of the 7th Prince's crime. As long as Song Lifu was convicted, he could storm the guest room, capture the criminal, and implicate the seventh prince. However, what was happening over there? Song Lifu was not taken down. The seventh prince also returned with a cheerful expression. The seventh prince spoke, Li Jian. The guard leader bowed, present. From the Ministry of Justice, a secret order has come. Guo De and his 17 subordinates are suspected of 3 major crimes. Master Song personally came to the prince mansion to supervise the matter. In the face of lawbreakers, even my close attendants cannot be shielded. Fully cooperate and seize them. The guard leader's face changed drastically, almost unable to believe his ears. Guo De in trouble. Execute. Yes, the guard leader waved his hand, and a squad surrounded the guest room. Guo De's face changed dramatically. Mr. Li, what is the meaning of this? The door opened, and the person inside, suspected to be Zhuolong, took off his mask, revealing his true identity. How could it be Zhuolong? Every inch was the guard commander of Song Lifu. He extended his hand, holding a bronze token, a genuine arrest warrant from the Ministry of Justice. Guo De, your deeds have been exposed. Guo De's face turned ashen, his ominous foreboding fulfilled. Tonight was a special operation initiated by the Crown Prince against the seventh prince in Song Lifu. The script had followed the design from the beginning, but at the last moment it went off course. It was Song Lifu who was purged from the court, nor was the seventh prince drawn into chaos, but rather Sun Chang was flogged to death directly. The Crown Prince's insider by the seventh prince's side, Guo De, and his 17 controlled subordinates were all cleared out. For a typical person, they might shout their grievances, but Guo De did not. He knew that the crimes committed would not stand up to reasoning. If the Ministry of Justice wanted to deal with you, they could naturally fabricate charges. However, to truly capture him would depend on the Crown Prince's approval. Therefore, he wasn't particularly anxious either. Just quietly taken away. The wind blew past, the trees swayed in the breeze. In the study, 2 bigwigs sat opposite each other. No one was serving, because they had matters to discuss. Song Lifu let out a light breath. Your Highness, today's events were extremely perilous. Indeed, the seventh prince also let out a long breath. Without his reminder, the 2 of us might have truly fallen for their plot. The prisoner exchange was no trivial matter. In ordinary circumstances, no one would choose such a perilous affair. But wasn't it because there was no other choice? Zhuolong absolutely could not die. This was the seventh prince's bottom line. So no matter how difficult, he had to handle it. He Yun from the Heart Pavilion proactively offered a plan, negotiating a transaction with the seventh prince. The Heart Pavilion would cooperate in this operation, and the Ministry of Justice would release their 3 captured members. It was because it was a transaction that the seventh prince trusted him. However, conducting the prisoner exchange by other departments would have difficulty escaping the Ministry of Justice's re-examination. But if it was executed by the minister of the Ministry of Justice himself, it could be foolproof. This was what the seventh prince thought as he left He Yun's tower. But with Li Chengyan, he was hit hard. Li Chengyan pointed out the absolutely secret plan of prisoner exchange at the outset, indicating it couldn't be done. Yet turning around, Li Chengyan offered him a piece of advice, a fake prisoner exchange. With just 3 words, both the seventh prince and the minister of the Ministry of Justice had to comply. Because this strategy could advance or retreat, leaving no after effects. Sure enough, once the fake prisoner exchange was launched, Sun Chang immediately discovered that Your Majesty had secretly visited the heavenly prison overnight, and the atmosphere inside the Prince Dingbei mansion was equally eerie. In the end, the dust settled. Sun Chang was immediately removed. The insider within the Prince Dingbei mansion was cleaned out, and indications showed that no matter how the Ministry of Justice judged, the Crown Prince dared not rescue anyone because he was at fault, lacking confidence. Originally a game that was bound to lose no matter what they did, in a blink, it turned into their advantage, yielding substantial gains. Therefore, the 2 bigwigs felt it necessary to have a review, to discuss the person who offered the idea. Your Highness, why not truly engage with this person? Song Lifu suggested. The seventh prince held a teacup to his lips and paused, his eyes gleaming with a slight glint. Master Song, what do you think this person's intentions are? Besides creating conditions for Your Highness's use, I see no other intentions, Song Lifu replied. The seventh prince smiled faintly. I am the prince with the worst standing. Why would he wish to be of use to me? Precisely because Your Highness has no one to rely on. You shouldn't miss such a person. Then tomorrow, shall I invite him over for a meeting? Song Lifu gently nodded. Master Song, would you also be present to observe with your discerning eye? Song Lifu smiled. Today his strategy resolved not just your dilemma, your highness, but also a death trap for me. Logically and sentimentally, I must thank him face to face. Then it's settled tomorrow. No, today at noon, Yunyang Tower. In the Heart Pavilion, next to Lin Ziyasu's loft. Yun had just awakened from a dream when he heard the report of the Grey Curse. Yesterday evening, the Heavenly Prisoner exchange was executed. The entire process went as per the arrangement of the Lord Steward at that time, but the result deviated. Song Lifu put on a prisoner exchange show, but didn't actually exchange prisoners. The act here was performed fully. The Crown Prince arranged it personally, and the Prime Minister and the Left Grand Master made a grand display. His Majesty hurried to the heavenly prison only to find a complete farce. Yun's expression suddenly changed. What was the outcome? The outcome was that Sun Chang was beaten to death on the spot. The 18 people the Crown Prince planted in the 7th Prince's mansion were cleared out, leaving the Prime Minister utterly humiliated and the Crown Prince drenched in sweat, fearing that His Majesty's wrath would fall upon him. Sweat appeared on Yun's forehead as well. Why? Why did it turn out this way? The Grey Curse replied, there are signs that the 7th Prince and the Minister of the Ministry of Justice, Song Lifu, were well prepared. Even Zuolong was ready. Zuolong intended to show his wounds in front of His Majesty, proclaiming his loyalty and filial piety, while ironically criticizing His Majesty as heartless and unjust, which led to His Majesty's angry embarrassment and a furious outburst. Yun slowly raised his hand. The Grey Curse's voice abruptly stopped. Yun quietly looked out the window, his chest rising and falling gently, his gaze flickering uncertainly. Lord Steward, do you still think there's nothing wrong with the 7th Prince being intercepted by Qing Ying that day? The Grey Curse added. Yun suddenly stood up and stepped out of his loft with the next step, arriving outside Lin Ziyasu's loft. Judging by his fiery demeanor, it seemed he was about to kick Lin Ziyasu's courtyard door open and demand what exactly Lin Ziyasu said to intercept the 7th Prince that day. However, just as he raised his leg to kick, a wisp of sound entered his ear. Yun stopped. In the next moment, he left the pavilion zone and entered a cave, descending all the way down. Inside the cave, a middle-aged man stood quietly in the place where a sliver of daylight poured down. His figure was lean, with a short beard and a scholar-like appearance. Even situated in a cave, he seemed as at ease as a great scholar standing by a lakeside. He was the true leader of the Heart Pavilion, He Fanglu, also known as the legendary Dark Pavilion Master. Father, Yun bowed. He Fanglu slowly turned his head. What are you intending to do at Li Chengnian's loft? Though he hadn't left the cave, he knew the matters within the pavilion as if they were the lines on his palm. Yun spoke angrily. I want to find out if it was he who leaked the prisoner exchange plan to the 7th Prince. And how do you plan to ask him? Yun was at a loss for words. Indeed, there was no way to ask. It was all speculation. The prisoner exchange plan was Yun's suggestion to the 7th Prince, and Li Chengnian didn't know about it. If the prisoner exchange had been implemented smoothly, it would have been a great achievement in the Heart Pavilion. Mentioning it could have garnered some merit from the Crown Prince, but alas, it failed. For a failed plan, the planner is a blemish. Yun was the illegitimate son of this love-concerned pavilion master, and was someone he put great effort into cultivating. While Yun could take credit for successful cases, the blemish of a failed plan must not be attributed to him. This was the critical reason behind the intentional efforts of the caring father to immediately restrain Yun when he intended to hold Li Chengnian accountable. He didn't want Yun's carefully cultivated persona in the Heart Pavilion to crumble overnight. Yun wasn't a fool. He had just been overwhelmed by anger and momentarily lost his composure. After his father's question, he calmed down and agreed that his father's prevention was right. He took a deep breath. Father, this matter is certainly related to him. On that day when he stopped the 7th Prince, he must have leaked the secret. He Fanglu said, he himself wasn't aware of the plan, and moreover, as the father, I can almost be certain that no one in the senior ranks of the pavilion transmitted this plan to him. How could there be a leak? Indeed, to leak a secret, one must be in the know. If you don't know, how can you leak? Yun furrowed his brows. Father means, He surmised the seventh prince's intentions merely from the clue of his visit, and even analyzed the advice I gave the seventh prince. From there, he crafted a more sinister counter-advice for the seventh prince. Fanglu slowly raised his gaze. Though Li Chengyan is considered a wise man, his intelligence doesn't reach such a level. The matter does indeed have a few suspicions. "What should we do next?" Yun asked. Fanglu said, "To determine whether he indeed advised the seventh prince, you only need to focus on one key point, which is to closely watch him and see if the seventh prince contacts him again." Yun's eyes lit up. If Li Chengyan truly penetrated the seventh prince's purpose in visiting the Heart Pavilion and saw through the advice given to the seventh prince, crafting such a sinister counterplan, how could the seventh prince bear not contacting him? It's important to consider that the seventh prince is currently without people or power and would desperately cling to even a straw. Anyone within the Heart Pavilion who can be used by him, he wouldn't just let go. He is sure to send someone to liaise with Li Chengyan. Yun slowly nodded. "Father, your words are very wise. I will cooperate with Yan, regardless of how discreet the seventh prince's contact is, I will." Suddenly, Fanglu lightly raised his hand. Yun's voice came to an abrupt halt. "Li Zhen has ascended the mountain." Yun's heart skipped a beat. Li Zhen, the leader of the seventh prince's guards. What is his purpose for coming to the Heart Pavilion? It's unlikely to be directly inviting Li Chengyan, is it? Fanglu used the primordial spirit as eye to observe comprehensively. Chapter 638, Chapter 637, Choosing a New Path. Li Jin arrived outside Lin Ziasu's courtyard gate and bowed. "Lord Li, my prince invites you to come down the mountain for a gathering. May I ask if you can oblige?" "Who is your prince?" "King Dingbei." Lin Ziasu smiled. "So it's the seventh prince. It would be impolite to decline." "The carriage is waiting at the pavilion entrance, please, my lord." "Qing Ying will accompany us." "Yes, Lord Steward." Li Jin led the way, Lin Ziasu in the middle, followed by Qing Ying. The three walked across the large platform outside the Heart Pavilion, onto the Bluestone Road, and ahead was a gravel road where they boarded the carriage and descended the mountain. In the basement, Fanglu squinted his eyes slightly, a sign he was contemplating. "Father, what is the meaning of being so brazen?" "Indeed it is brazen, but it's not the brazenness of Li Chengyan but that of the seventh prince." Fanglu said, "Is it a test?" "The Heart Pavilion is a very special place. It is a place of fairness in the Jianghu, without prejudice or hidden motives. After all, they work for money, and only such a reputation allows various forces to trust them with tasks. The word fairness is its lifeline. Therefore, the people of the Heart Pavilion generally adhere to the principle that anyone can ascend the mountain and pay for their services. However, the people of the Heart Pavilion do not descend the mountain with the powerful, because going down the mountain means getting involved with factions, which is detrimental to maintaining a fair reputation. And today, the head of the seventh prince's guards boldly went up the mountain, explicitly inviting Li Chengyan down, and Li Chengyan unhesitatingly went. Is the seventh prince testing whether Li Chengyan is willing to take a desperate leap? And Li Chengyan faced such pressure with calm and compliance. Is he really making a desperate leap? Does he plan to align with the seventh prince from now on? Is he really unconcerned about how the crown prince views this? Does he not care about maintaining his foothold in the Heart Pavilion? Perhaps he is carrying out a special mission from the crown prince all along. Suddenly, Fanglu was slightly startled. "Where is Yan?" Yun was also taken aback. "With father's reminder, I suddenly realized I haven't seen Yan in several days. A concubine is indeed not for them to worry about. But not seeing her for several days. This situation is too unusual. It's essential to know that this concubine is not an ordinary one. She is the person of the crown prince, placed by Li Chengyan's side." Li Chengyan's unusual acceptance of the seventh prince's overtures today makes the crown prince's attitude crucial, yet the concubine placed by his side is nowhere to be found. A series of perplexing issues left the Heart Pavilion's pavilion master, known for his wisdom, who stirred up turmoil in the entire Beijing, thoroughly baffled. No one expected such a change in Li Chengyan. The reason is straightforward, just one sentence. Li Chengyan is no longer Li Chengyan, and Yan is not Yan. Elsewhere, the carriage entered the city and passed through the urban area, arriving at a high building, 10 jang tall, magnificent and splendid. On reaching the third floor, two female attendants stood by with a curtsy. "Lord Li, please." Lin Ziasu nodded. "Qing Ying, wait outside." "Yes." Opening the door, it felt as if stepping into an open field. Upon closing the door, all noise behind was completely silent. This room had an array. A soundproof array. Lin Ziasu raised his gaze and saw a young man standing by the window, dressed casually, with a face full of smiles. It was indeed the seventh prince, Hong Yun. Lin Ziasu smiled slightly. "Greetings, your highness." The seventh prince raised a hand, supporting his shoulder. "Do you remember what you said that day? I told your highness that when we meet again, it would be when your highness has some trust in me. For inviting me today, how much trust does your highness have in me? Because of you, I perfectly avoided a hunt. At least at this moment, my trust in you is unwavering." Lin Ziasu laughed heartily. "And what about Master Song?" The side door opened slightly, revealing Song Lifu, who entered the room and bowed deeply. "The strategy of Lord Li saved my life. I came here specifically today to thank you, my lord." "No need to be so formal." Lin Ziasu also bowed in return. "Master Song's integrity and fairness make you a thorn in their side, seeking your demise eagerly. I admire your character as a student, and it is a crucial reason why I am willing to devise plans for your highness to resolve this crisis." "Thank you," Song Lifu thanked again. The first thanks were for saving his life. The second thanks were for his words of praise. The seventh prince lightly lifted his hand. "Please sit." The three of them took their seats. The seventh prince personally served the tea, placing the cup before Lin Ziasu, and slowly lifted his gaze. "Lord Li, today, why don't we speak candidly?" Lin Ziasu replied, "My presence here today is already an act of candor." "Very well, I shall speak directly. You mentioned, out of respect for Master Song's integrity, you couldn't bear to see a pillar of the court fall, so you acted in a crisis. But I wish to ask, aside from this reason, is there any other?" "Of course there is." "May I ask why?" Lin Ziasu answered, "To leave a way out for myself." "To leave a way out for myself." Such frank words. The world always says, the more paths you have, the more security you have in life. In officialdom, an escape route is even more crucial. A few people publicly admit it. The seventh prince's eyes flickered. "I have heard, the Zihli family holds the crown prince in high regard, and the crown prince also greatly values the Zihli family. Yet, you feel the need for an escape route." These words are polite, but the implication is sharp. Your family, the Zihli family, has always been flattering the crown prince, and he has always regarded your Li family as loyal dogs. Your family already bound to the crown prince's ship, wholeheartedly working for him. When he ascends, becoming king would be your greatest support. In such a case, do you still need a way out? Lin Ziasu picked up the teacup, gently turning it. "Your highness has high hopes for the crown prince." This question is even sharper. The seventh prince said, "The crown prince is highly valued by the father emperor, having governed the country for 3 years. The government is well organized, officials praise him endlessly, and his reputation and achievements are flourishing. What reason do I have not to hold hope?" Lin Ziasu gave a slight smile. "The government might be well organized, but does this include the people's livelihood? The officials praise endlessly, but does this include the border generals?" The seventh prince's heart pounded. This was a flat-out denial. Today, the great wilderness is in decline. The populace cannot afford food, and the starving dead are everywhere. At the border, it has been 3 years without pay, and resentment runs deep. Moreover, the loyal and national general Zulong is imprisoned in the heavenly prison. His family members are either conscripted into the army or sent to the Imperial Music Bureau. The praises of officials cannot conceal their inner grief and indignation. Lin Ziasu added, "Your Highness only sees the endless praise of the officials but hasn't reflected on why they praise." "Pray tell, why do they praise?" "Because they are a coalition of interests, and a foreign force has already infiltrated every aspect of the court." "A foreign force?" Song Lifu asked. "Lord, are you referring to?" "The Heart Pavilion." Song Lifu's gaze lifted. "Regarding the exchange of prisoners, I have already realized the Crown Prince's deep control over the Heart Pavilion. But you claim it is the Heart Pavilion using the Crown Prince to control the court. The Heart Pavilion, is it ever content to be someone else's stepping stone? The Crown Prince dreams of controlling the Heart Pavilion. Little does he know they see him as a pawn." "A mere Heart Pavilion with such ambition," the seventh prince sighed. A mere heart pavilion, Lin Zaiasu laughed. Your Highness, do you know that what surfaces from an iceberg is merely a fraction? Behind the heart pavilion is the mental path, and behind the mental path is unorthodox methods. And unorthodox methods are not a creation of today. They thrived millions of years ago, punished by the heavenly Tao for their inhuman practices, lying dormant for years before rising again. Unorthodox methods. The seventh prince's face changed slightly, seeing everything in the world as chess pieces, sparing no means to fulfill one's Tao. Indeed, Lin Zaiasu said, today, unorthodox methods have re-emerged. In less than 3,000 years, they have made unorthodox methods one of the six paths, practically overriding reincarnation, and even brought a branch, the mental path, into the 9 gates. Their powerful return went unnoticed by the world. The seventh prince exhaled deeply. The crown prince, already swayed by the mental path, if he ascends the throne, the vast lands of the great wilderness might fall into the hands of unorthodox methods. Therefore, I do not wish to see him as my path. Therefore, I desire to choose another path. Lin Zaiasu lifted the teacup, lightly tasting it. This was laying it all out. A full disclosure. Because he saw through the crown prince's nature, understood the grand situation, and resolutely chose to abandon the crown prince and choose the seventh prince instead. Song Lifu sighed deeply. Such a situation, you seeing it from the common streets, how can I in the court not see it clearly? However, the crown prince's momentum is already established. To change course now is no different from daydreaming. I am already 87, my life is insignificant, but both your highness and Lord Li are of the youthful age, to forcefully go against the tide without hope. It is. He didn't finish his words, yet the meaning was understood by all. Lin Zaiasu chuckled softly. If we are to consider ourselves as the crown prince's imaginary enemies, then indeed he seems overwhelming. But what if we introduce a different opponent? A different opponent, the seventh prince's eyes gleamed slightly. No matter who, it seems impossible. He is the most downtrodden prince, the least powerful, even the court officials ignore him. Surely he cannot be the crown prince's opponent. Then who is fit to be this opponent? The former crown prince. The former crown prince, his elder brother Prince Xian Hung Lai. Back then his elder brother was indeed extremely popular, but after being dismissed from the crown prince position, he's like a dog with a broken spine, even sending his concubine to the current crown prince. The current crown prince deliberately spread the word, letting the whole world despise him. What leverage does he have for a comeback? As for the other brothers, they are all crown prince's dogs without any prestige, reputation, court support, or imperial favor. None of them qualify. No one else is viable. What about the current majesty? This casual remark by Lin Zaiasu nearly made the two in the room jump. Chapter 639. Chapter 638. Not yin-yang disorder but cause and effect mistake. Father, the seventh prince uttered softly, shaking his head. Father's focus is on the stability of the kingdom. Precisely because the crown prince brother is the only one he can rely on, he trusts him all the more. He could never become the crown prince's opponent. He would only be the crown prince's strongest support. Song Lifu also nodded slowly. What your highness says is very true. An emperor of a generation, his first consideration is always the stability of the nation. Although there has been some discontent among the people during the 3 years the crown prince has served as regent, the borders remain stable, and the imperial authority is highly secured. His Majesty absolutely would not dare risk replacing the crown prince. Lin Zaiasu gently placed the teacup down. Your Highness, Master Song, you need to clarify one thing. Speak. You need to clarify whether the crown prince became the regent crown prince because of his outstanding abilities, or because His Majesty has been unable to govern, thus necessitating a regent to be nurtured. Father's health has been poor since 10 years ago, turning day into night, and he is truly unable to govern, which is why the crown prince was made regent. But what if His Majesty's health recovers? If he can govern, would he still need to tolerate the crown prince's monopolization of power? Does Lord Li have a way to restore father's health? The seventh prince's eyes lit up brightly. If your highness is willing to take me close to His Majesty, I have the confidence to quickly restore His Majesty's health. The seventh prince and Song Lifu exchanged glances, standing from the perspective of the seventh prince. This is absolutely news with all gains and no losses. Benefit 1, after all, is the father. A father's poor health always concerns his children. Benefit 2, currently, the father cannot manage affairs of state, and the nation's major matters are all handled by the regent crown prince. The crown prince's power is equivalent to the emperor's power. Under such circumstances, oppression against him is unbearable. If the father can govern, it would directly strip off the crown prince's power. Benefit 3. If he can solve this biggest constraint for the father will surely value him more, and his situation would improve 100-fold or 1,000-fold. With so many benefits, the focal point is only one. Can the Lord before us, Li Chengyan, truly achieve this? Song Lifu said, Lord Li needs to know that His Majesty's illness has been seen by all the world's miraculous doctors and national experts over the past 10 years, including the court's imperial physicians and top cultivators in the cultivation path. Lin Zaiasu said, Master Song also needs to understand one thing. An illness not being cured sometimes is a matter of medical skill, and sometimes it's beyond medical skill. Some cannot be treated, and some dare not be treated. Everyone understood thoroughly at this statement. The court is under the control of the crown prince. What about those imperial physicians? Isn't the crown prince controlling them? Can the crown prince not control the top cultivators outside the court? Even if the crown prince really cannot, isn't there still an unorthodox method? Who among cultivators would carelessly oppose unorthodox methods? To let you cure, perhaps there's some difficulty, but to let you not cure, what difficulty is there? Could it be His Majesty's illness is solely controlled by the heart pavilion? If it were someone else pointing this out, it would not be highly credible, but this young master Li Chengyan before us is a steward of the heart pavilion. He might know some secret information. Lord Li, this prince can request an audience with father, but you must also know, this matter cannot be joked about. The seventh prince said solemnly. Lin Zaiasu smiled. If your highness makes this joke, at worst you'd be stripped of your prince status. As for me, if I make this joke, my entire clan would be executed. Do you think I would make such a joke? The seventh prince took a deep breath. Shall we enter the palace now? Please, your highness. On this day at midnight, His Majesty sat in Wenling Hall. Wenling Hall and Wying Hall, one of the two key halls in the palace. There is a distinction between these halls. Wying Hall is the hall for handling government affairs, whereas Wenling Hall is the hall for self-cultivation and tranquility. Wying is heavily guarded, showcasing the solemnity of the high pavilion and magnificent building. Wenling is even more heavily guarded, yet it is a hall where only one person resides alone. Today there are two people in the hall. His Majesty seated on the dragon throne. Beside him is the commander of the Forbidden Army, Huo Gang. This person practices divine magic. He is also the true confidant of His Majesty. The hall doors slowly opened. Two individuals entered the hall. The lighting wasn't bright, and the starlight outside the window seemed exceptionally distant, casting two long shadows. Two youthful faces clearly emerged in His Majesty's view on the dragon throne, coming closer and closer. The one in front was the seventh prince Hong Yun. The one behind was Li Chengyan of the Heart Pavilion. Your son greets father, Hong Yun knelt. Commoner Li Chengyan greets your majesty. Lin Zaiasu only gave a deep bow. Being a scholar with a qualification of a candidate, but having no official position, he was thus exempt from kneeling. Rise, two words were softly spoken, extremely clear. The two stood upright. Yunor said, Mr. Li can cure my illness, His Majesty said. Would the ruler of a country easily see a mere commoner? However, his illness has put the imperial physicians at a loss, and over 10 years, how many heads have rolled because of his condition? To the extent that in recent years, no one dared to mention His Majesty's illness proactively. Once you mention it, you must have a suggestion, and any suggestion could essentially mean someone's life because you cannot cure it. Without the skill of a master, if you must take on this porcelain work, raising His Majesty's hope only to have it dashed, how could His Majesty allow you to toy with him? Who would want to do something foolish and lose their life just for a moment of bravado? Thus, those who volunteered to treat His Majesty's illness had not appeared for more than a year. It's not easy to encounter one. His Majesty also has a desperate mindset and directly meets him. Lin Zaiasu slowly raises his head. Your Majesty's illness is actually not an illness, but a scheme. Not an illness, but a scheme. Your Majesty's brow suddenly contracts. Huo Gang's fierce eyes also suddenly fall on Lin Zaiasu's face. The seventh Prince Hong Yun's heart jumps wildly. Entering the imperial palace, facing Father Emperor, is extraordinary. He had previously asked Lin Zaiasu many questions to probe his thoughts, but Lin Zaiasu avoided answering directly about sensitive topics. Now facing Father Emperor, his first sentence is earth-shattering. Father Emperor's illness is not an illness, but a scheme. Lord Li, what do you mean by this? The seventh prince asks. Lin Zaiasu replies, Your Majesty's illness has been identified by the palace's imperial physician as yin-yang disorder, which is a misjudgment. In fact, Your Majesty has fallen into a treacherous scheme, poisoned by ill intentions. Speak on, His Majesty says, his voice deep. Yes, Lin Zaiasu replies. The scheme Your Majesty has fallen into is called cause and effect mistake, a variation of the Tao of cause and effect. This harmful method is extremely peculiar, inherited from ancient times, not spread in this era. For years, countless people have tried to treat Your Majesty, but none recognize the cause and effect mistake, likely due to this very reason. But how did you come to know? Lin Zaiasu responds. It was a mere coincidence for a commoner like me to have read a book titled 10,000 Laws Book, which happened to record this harmful magic of cause and effect. His Majesty takes a deep breath. Tell me what you know about the cause and effect mistake. Yes, Lin Zaiasu answers. The essence of the cause and effect mistake is to bind two people by cause and effect, achieving a reciprocal increase and decrease. In other words, the person bound to Your Majesty grows stronger in yang energy, while Your Majesty weakens in yang energy. The greater this person's power, the less Your Majesty's power. The seventh prince's heart pounds heavily. This reciprocal cause and effect mistake. The bound pair, one thrives, the other declines. Who exactly is being spoken of? The answer seems imminent, but he dares not utter a word because the matter is unparalleled in its gravity. He also seems to understand why Lin Zaiasu was reserved at the start. No matter how he pried earlier, Lin Zaiasu never divulged any useful information, for this matter is immense, almost the greatest matter in the Great Wilderness Dynasty. Your Majesty's face is completely hidden in darkness. He exhales softly. Could you explain further, how is this magic executed? Upon hearing this, the seventh prince's heartbeat seems to freeze. For this is a difficult question to answer. His Majesty, supreme and thoroughly guarded, who can perform magic on him? If this question is answered poorly, all previous questions become a deadly noose, branding you with the grievous crime of speaking recklessly before the emperor, and sowing discord within the imperial family. Lin Zaiasu addresses. This method often starts with the magic of blessing. Your Majesty might recall, 10 years ago, was there a prayer for blessing for a certain person. That moment of prayer marked the beginning of the cause and effect binding. The seventh prince suddenly raises his head. Father Emperor, could it be the Tunnian prayer from 10 years ago? Your Majesty's body suddenly stiffens. No need for the seventh prince's reminder. He remembers it clearly himself. 10 years ago, the current crown prince, then the third Prince Hongding, fell ill with a strange, life-threatening condition. The state preceptor suggested the Tunnian prayer. This ruler ventured at night to the Tunnian temple, meeting Zen Master Xuan Kong of Tunnian Temple. Master Xuan Kong, relying on Buddhist law, engaged his own century-long cultivation, performing Buddhist secret magic. The current Majesty knelt before the Buddha for 9 two-hour periods, lifting the azure lantern, resulting in a miracle recovery for Hongding the next day. This act was praised throughout the court and beyond, deeming him a merciful ruler. Zen Master Xuan Kong of Tunnian Temple was hailed as a Buddhist divine monk, for, after the Buddhist ceremony, his cultivation was nearly exhausted, initiating a lengthy period of retreat. Selfless rescue of others, Xuan Kong indeed. Now, this young man in front claims the conspiracy's inception lay in the Tunnian prayer. That grand Buddhist event was not a testament to his compassionate reputation, nor to Xuan Kong's benevolence, but the starting point of a profound conspiracy. For 10 years, his health has been deteriorating. He has suspected many things, excavating the palace's underground countless times, altering feng shui perpetually, changing the staff at the imperial kitchen repetitively, executing generations of imperial physicians. However, he never suspected the Tunnian prayer, because the prayer was a source of great pride to him. He's not inherently merciful, with few compassionate actions in his life. This was his hallmark display of benevolence. At this moment, this ruler's mind is a tangled web. If this was all a malicious plot, then many people must be reconsidered. That state preceptor, that high monk, Also, his crown prince. The crown prince's illness came oddly, left oddly. Was it true or false? How many people joined in back then, merely aiming to eliminate him, to have the crown prince ascend? Your Majesty's eyes closed for a long time, then slowly open. Sir, your words today are indeed earth-shattering. Dare I ask, is there a method for verification? Linzaya Asu replies, Your Majesty, this commoner believes, verifying the matter is as good as resolving it. If the matter is resolved, it inversely verifies the matter. Your Majesty's eyes suddenly shine brightly. Is there a solution? Chapter 640, Chapter 639, Appointment as Inspection Envoy. That is only natural, Lin Zaiasu said. To unravel this method is quite simple, just reverse the process. Reverse the process, His Majesty muttered, not knowing if he failed to understand this modern term or was pondering the methods. The cause and effect mistake leads to a situation where one declines as the other rises. The prominence of the binding person is the reason why Your Majesty. The imperial seal does not yield kinship. Your Majesty might as well temporarily reduce his power and see if the kinship to the imperial seal returns. Kinship to the imperial seal. The four words seemed inexplicable. However, within His Majesty's heart, it was as if the waves of a 10-tier storm surged. The four words Lin Zaiasu had spoken, perhaps others did not understand immediately, but he did. It referred to the control power of the imperial seal. Ever since the crown prince entered the Eastern Palace, the imperial seal had become problematic. He could not control it or tap into its immense power. This is the greatest fear of an emperor. Should anyone discover that he cannot command the imperial seal, the state would be in jeopardy. Hence, he seldom appeared at court, leaving the crown prince to oversee the administration. This was an act of desperation, for compared to the great wilderness empire, the crown prince's monopoly was a minor concern. The crown prince's formidable authority in court at least ensured that this expansive territory had a ruler by the surname of Han. Without the crown prince, the entire dynasty might easily be ruined. Now, viewing the matter from another perspective, he suddenly felt a sense of deep irony. What if this situation was originally orchestrated by the crown prince? The current trajectory aligns entirely with the crown prince's intentions. Given his current physical state, he wouldn't last many years. When he perishes, the crown prince will seamlessly ascend, and this rebellion will be recorded in history as a stealthy plot unnoticed by all. No one will accuse the crown prince of treason, but will only praise him for taking charge in crisis and turning the tide. No one will recognize this crisis as a deliberately crafted crisis. So suggests temporarily reducing his power, His Majesty asked. As sovereign of a nation, Your Majesty must act with a sense of propriety. Even a temporary reduction is likely something difficult for Your Majesty to resolve. Lin Zaiasu said, I have a plan that may ease Your Majesty's concerns. Please speak, Minister. With these four words, addressing had changed. Previously a more formal address of Sir, now it is merely Minister with just one word. Lin Zaiasu bowed and said, I wish to request a position from Your Majesty. Which position? Inspection Envoy. An inspection envoy, a specially appointed royal investigator, typically held by the imperial censor. Where do you intend to inspect, Minister? Heart Pavilion. Why? Last night's prisoner exchange at the Heavenly Prison, ostensibly a matter of court justice, is actually an attempt to frame the prince. It must not be easily overlooked. Your Majesty has grounds to conduct a thorough investigation and see which hidden hands are at play behind it. His Majesty sat on the dragon throne, unmoving for a long time. His body in the dark had an imperceptible quiver. Throughout, Lin Zaiasu never mentioned the two words, Crown Prince, yet the implication was crystal clear to everyone. He was specifically targeting the Crown Prince. He sought appointment as inspection envoy to investigate last night's prisoner exchange case in the Heavenly Prison, seemingly already set on proving that the Crown Prince was behind the switch. If half an hour ago, someone suggested thoroughly investigating the prisoner exchange case, His Majesty would immediately dismiss it. He knew perfectly well that the Crown Prince was ultimately behind this prisoner exchange. The Crown Prince wanted to eliminate dissent within court. Everyone knew this intention. Knowing it was the Crown Prince, what's the use of investigating? Such an investigation would only mar the dignity of the imperial family. But now, his attitude had completely transformed. Because on this side of the balance was no longer some abstract dignity of the imperial family, but his survival, his life, his imperial authority. What is there to hesitate over? He must test by removing the crown prince to see if the so-called kinship to the imperial seal could be restored. The words kinship to the imperial seal also added weight to Lin Zaiasu's presence. If Lin Zaiasu didn't genuinely understand the cause and effect mistake, how could he possibly know that I couldn't control the imperial seal? My inability to control the imperial seal is a secret known to none but me under heaven. He wouldn't dare divulge it, not even when facing anyone. Lin Zaiasu's knowledge implied the truth of his words was 8 or 9 times real. In that case, authorize him. Let him unearth the crown prince's evidence of wrongdoing and temporarily, legally seize the crown prince. Why say temporarily? Because the final resolution will depend on the resulting outcome. If deposing the crown prince restores command of the imperial seal, it shall be a permanent deposition. If deposing the crown prince shows no improvement in his condition, there will be no rush to eliminate the Zihli family entirely. As for the crown prince's title, it's just a title. Even after deposition, it's not an irretrievable designation. This too is called advancing or retreating strategically. In a fleeting moment, countless thoughts in His Majesty's mind drifted repeatedly. He slowly raised his head. Where is the imperial decree? The sound wave emerged, poised to reverberate off the closed gates. Huo Gang, standing beside His Majesty, suddenly stretched out his right hand. Silently, the heavy bronze gate was forcibly opened even from 100 meters away. The sound wave carried outward. Present, an official with white hair rushed in, kneeling. Issue the decree, His Majesty ordered. Appoint Cheng Nian of the Zihli family as the 5th rank inspection envoy. Investigate on behalf of the heavens. All levels of government, all factions must cooperate. Any breach of the inspection order shall be deemed opposition to the court. By Your Majesty's command, the imperial decree holder received the order. Outside the gate, 2 yellow-robed attendants approached shoulder to shoulder. The one on the left bore a golden tray, atop which lay an official seal and an official order. The one on the right held a wooden tray, replete with official attire, boots, and hat. Lin Zaiasu looked at these things, and his heart skipped slightly. Entering the ancient wilderness, the first stage goal was successfully achieved. He obtained an official rank. Although it's just a 5th rank honorary title, the starting point is definitely not low. In feudal society, even if one is a top scholar, the starting stage is likely capped at 5th rank. This is the treatment of a top scholar. More crucially, his journey has just begun, and there's reason to believe that soon, his official rank will soar straight up. Next to him, the 7th prince's face changed unpredictably. Tonight, he witnessed the greatest miracle in official history, a man from Jianghu rising from a commoner to a 5th rank official. Even more bizarre is that this official position is what he himself requested. The strangest of all is that no one found his request for an official rank shameless. Everyone even had a feeling that his loyalty to the emperor was comparable to the sun and moon. Because he wanted this official rank, he was taking on a huge risk, but whatever gains were made, they were all for the emperor. This is the person he brought. From this moment, this 7th prince seemed to have formed a bond with this legendary inspection envoy. If the operation goes smoothly, his gains will be exceedingly abundant. If it fails, and expectations are not met, this prince might end up following in his elder brother's footsteps and be exiled far away. Your Majesty's voice became softer, Li Aching. The form of address changed again. First it was Mr., then Minister, now it's Trusted Minister. Aching, a term for trusted ministers. I am here. When can the inspection of the Heart Pavilion yield results? Replying to Your Majesty, Lin Zaiasu said, this matter is of great importance and cannot be delayed. I will act now. At the earliest within 1 hour, at the latest by today's sunset, Your Majesty will see the result. 1 hour. Latest by sunset. The people in the hall were simultaneously shocked. This is the boldness of the new inspection envoy. This is his swift and decisive action. Upon entering the palace late at night, he was a commoner. In less than half an hour, he was awarded the 5th rank cap. Acting immediately, aiming directly at the Heart Pavilion. Boasting of results within an hour possibly. The greatest event of this generation in the Dawang country unfolded just like this. Starting from late night, perhaps ending at late night, clean and unencumbered. Indeed, everyone was clearly aware that this matter truly cannot be delayed. The decree conferring the official rank cannot be hidden from people. Once court assembles tomorrow morning, everyone will know. As soon as Lin Zaiasu's intentions are exposed, this court, infiltrated like a sieve, will swiftly transmit the news to the Heart Pavilion, where they have many advisors and countless methods. What problem can't they solve? Even if they can't erase evidence, eliminating the problem proposer wouldn't take more than an instant. Therefore, catch them off guard. Let them wake up to find it already dawn. Good Li Aching's style of action, I like it. Your Majesty stood up tall, Huo Gang. I am here. Huo Gang promptly moved his feet, stepped before your Majesty and bowed. You lead the Forbidden Army personally, and follow Mr. Li's arrangements. By order. 15 minutes later, 10 magic artifact flying boats soared into the sky. On each boat, 300 fully armed Forbidden Army warriors. On the largest central boat, the great commander of the Forbidden Zone, Huo Gang, held the great flag, flanked by 2 young men. Wearing a light yellow royal robe was the 7th prince, King Dingbei Hong Yun. Dressed in a blue 5th rank court attire was Lin Zaiasu. With new court robes, new official boots, a new image, Lin Zaiasu's face did not show the triumphant expression of a newly appointed official, but rather was calm like a spring breeze. This calm yet wise expression made both Hong Yun and Huo Gang look at him in a whole new light. This person is truly extraordinary. Speaking eloquently before your Majesty, deploying overall strategies skillfully, obtaining an official rank without expressing happiness or sorrow, such a person only revealed his talents today. 3,000 Forbidden Army broke through the air, streaked across the sky, startling some in the city who sat up and looked at the army leaving the city with surprise. However, more people still remained in slumber at this moment. On West Mountain, Tunnian Temple lay in quiet slumber. Mid-mountain, the Heart Pavilion quietly slept. Aside from a few caves, faint lights leaked out. Suddenly, clouds billowed and flew in the sky. The night sky was directly torn apart. With a light booming sound, 10 flying cars descended from the void, sealing off the surroundings of the Heart Pavilion. Huo Gang flicked the great flag in his hand. The imperial golden light covered the Heart Pavilion. With a swish, 7 silhouettes rose into the sky from above the Heart Pavilion, precisely 7 of the top elders of the pavilion. All pavilions of the Heart Pavilion simultaneously lit up brightly, and caves below also brightened up. This part of the world instantly became clear. Huo Gang shouted loudly, "By your Majesty's decree, inspecting the Heart Pavilion, everyone in the pavilion must come out to accept inspection, and no unauthorized movements, otherwise, execution without pardon." As the voice fell, golden waves rolled in the air. Like a mad tide of the 9th heaven, pressing down, the 7 top elders who had just taken to the sky were directly pressed down to the square by this overwhelming force. Everyone's faces changed unanimously. These 7 were all Enlightenment God-level experts, yet Huo Gang, with merely a shout, pressed them all down. This is his demon god domain. This is the strength of the great commander by your Majesty's side. Not just comparable to holding the way, but even giants of holding the way must not act presumptuously before him.